to the Wrestling Supershow Podcast. I'm your host, Joey Roberts, and as always, I've got the man who just escaped Coco Beware's basement, James Tingstrom, and we are the self-proclaimed tag team champions of the podcast universe. James, how are you doing?
I'm alive and well, barely.
Well, that's good to hear. It's good to hear.
A long climb out of that basement.
Well, at least you're out. At least you're out. All right. Well, I guess before we get going, is there anything that you want to talk about? Want to mention? Throw any?
Yeah, Hulk Hogan just defeated Gawker in the main event of WrestleMania this week. Oh, wait, no, never mind, my bad. But
Close.
Anyway,
you were
still
close.
beat Gawker for $115 million.
Yes.
Because I don't know what the circumstances were. I just know they released his videotape without his consent, and that's spawned everything that you've seen the last 6 months on Hulk Hogan.
Yes.
I want to give a shout-out to a follower of mine on Twitter, Frank Ojeda, at UCLA Dodger Frank, who tweeted some pretty interesting alternate lyrics to the Hulk Hogan theme song.
Okay. All right.
Quote, I am a real American, win a big lawsuit when I can. I am a real American, Gawker got sued for a tape that was lewd. To which I followed up, fight for my rights, turn out their lights. Cue the intro music. I don't think much about right or wrong, and I don't make sex tapes for very long. I've got something deep inside of me. Racism is the thing that sets me free. And then we're off to the racist people.
All right. Well, that was interesting. Very.
Give the big boot and give the leg drop and go home.
Exactly. All right, well, I guess we'll just hop on into it now. I guess we'll start off with Raw, which started with no promo, which surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah, I picked up Raw 7 minutes in because I was playing Madden, and I forgot Raw was on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, what happened? There's a match? And I got on Twitter, and then everybody's crowing about, oh, it's a cold open, no promo, this is awesome. And I'm like, sweet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was thinking that because they were promoting before the show that it was going to be a face-off between Vince and Shane and Taker, and I was like, okay, well that's going to start the show. Taker's going to say 7 words and leave.
Again, longer to get to the ring.
Yeah, spend 15 minutes walking to the ring and 15 seconds talking. But no, it started with the New Day versus Del Rio and Rusev in the tag title match, and this was a pretty decent match. There was
yeah, I enjoyed the match.
Yeah. There's a few things I wanted to point out. I mean, again, we're not going to go over, move by move. There's tons of podcasts out there that do that. So, but one of the first things that I loved hearing was when Rusev had Xavier Woods, I think it was, in a move, and he was, I think it was like not a back body drop, but something like that. He had Xavier Woods in the move and just stared at Big E and just yelled, "Booty-O's my ass." That made me laugh really hard. Rusev is slowly becoming, like, even though he is heel, and I'm not really big into, like, the heel guys, Rusev is becoming one of my favorites on the roster.
He could be doing so much more than being a part of a 4-man stable that really doesn't have an identity.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, their identity are the League of Nations. They're 4 people.
They're 4 bad guys from 4 different countries. That's
essentially
really it.
Mostly Europe and then Mexico.
Yeah.
I guess this is like the leftovers from World War II. I don't know. Throw in a Russian guy, which Rusev kind of is the Russian guy. He was at one point.
He's the Russian guy that lives in Nashville.
He's so awesome. I mean, he's talking during his matches. He's finally wearing shoes like a civilized human being.
Yeah.
And he has a pretty cool spinning heel kick.
Yeah. One of my favorite things that I've seen him do, it hasn't happened recently. It happened at the Royal Rumble whenever they put whenever he ran across the 3 tables and put Roman through the table. I loved first off, Vince McMahon was out there and he's like, "Hug me, boss." And he hugged him. But then after that, as they were walking out, he grabbed one of the monitors from the TV and just took it. Yeah, he just took it and started walking to the back. He's like, "I'm keeping this."
And I gotta say, Del Rio is pretty awesome at times as well. like, he has his moments where, yeah, awesome, but he's never been the same since they dropped that Mexican aristocrat gimmick, and it took away his fancy clothes and his fancy cars and his elitist attitude.
Yeah, and they gave him a real shit
He's just
finisher.
another guy, but he still has his moments where, hey, okay, I mean, you're not the worst I've seen. I mean, you're better than Sheamus.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan of Del Rio, but he can go. And the fact I hate the fact that they just completely got rid of like his arm breaker or his arm bar, and he's doing that corner shit double stomp.
Yeah,
it's so
it's
stupid.
pretty weak at times. I mean,
although the beatdown after the match, whenever I think Sheamus and Rusev or whoever, they were actually holding Xavier Woods, like that made sense.
Yeah.
To do that, but whenever his opponent has to hold himself up,
that looks awful.
It looks dumb.
And then I tweeted gratuitously about the post-match beatdown. That was like my WrestleMania moment right there. I enjoyed so much.
Oh, it made me so sad.
They get my favorite wrestler of the week for beatdown of the week. Thank you, League of Nations, for ending the New Day, at least for this week.
Well, that made me sad. But one of my other favorite parts was I've seen it's a move that I've seen ACH do in Ring of Honor a lot, but Xavier Woods did this springboard DDT type thing where he kind of he steps in like and kind of launches himself off the bottom rope into a tornado DDT. Ever since I've seen ACH do that, like I don't know how long Xavier Woods has been doing that.
I don't think I've ever seen him do that.
I mean, he doesn't wrestle often. That was another thing that kind of surprised me about this match.
I remember much of his TNA stuff when he was Consequences Creed, but
yeah.
I never saw any of his NXT stuff, and I'd never see him do it on the main roster, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, I will say the post-match beatdown lasted way too long.
Yeah, they did.
It was like one of those Triple H promos where it was cool for the first 15 minutes, but the next 45 minutes were just painful.
Yeah, it was. Again, since I like the New Day, like I was kind of like, all right, come on, we get it, you know.
I get it. You beat down each of the three guys individually.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you walk away.
Yeah.
You don't continue to beat them down. It's like that scene from Casino where they take Joe Pesci and his brother out to the sticks and they beat him with the bats before dumping him in the hole. It's like, okay, you beat him. Stop. It's starting to get painful and to watch. Like, stop hitting him with the bat.
You've already beat him. Why kick him when he's down, kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I've noticed ever since the Roadblock special, the more New Day comes out, the more the crowd gets behind them. There was a lot of New Day rocks chants. The crowd, there was a huge pop when Xavier Woods rolled up. I think it was Rusev for the win. They're definitely turning face, and
slowly.
Yeah, slowly. So I don't know. Right now they're still kind of a tweener because they still have like that cocky attitude, but it seems like each week more and more fans get behind them.
Now they are pushing their Bootios cereal. I guess the idea they won't actually. If they were smart, they would just take a bunch of Cheerios and dump them into a box and put some like New Day shaped marshmallows in there and market that as like $10 a box on their website because you've got some parents who will buy their 4-year-old Bootios cereal.
Well, have you actually seen what it actually is?
What, the cereal?
Well, it's just a cereal box. Inside you get the shirt.
Box. The T-shirt is in the box. Yeah. And the Bootios, right? New Day rocks is their phrase. If this were the Attitude Era, they would be New Day rocks. They would be selling crack.
Oh yeah.
They would be the illusion of them being crack dealers.
Yeah.
Because they would make it a racial thing. The company would, you know.
Yeah.
You know how that goes. I mean,
and I'm sure Crime Time would be a part of their group.
Oh God, Crime Time. Where did they go?
JTG and Shad.
JTG, the guy who would never answer his phone because he didn't want to get fired.
Yeah. He always had the double-sided coin. That's how he always beat Shad. But yeah, New Day ended up winning, went to commercial break, and then when they got back, they did a recap of what just happened.
Thank you.
I hate
Thank you.
when they do this. Like, they're like, hey, you've been gone for 5 minutes. Let's recap of what just happened and spend 15 minutes talking about it.
It's almost like, I mean, if you see the crowd, they're mostly 20-somethings now.
Yeah.
So we have an attention span. The 5-year-olds they think they're marketing to don't have an attention span. So that from that respect, it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
You just saw, but those 5-year-olds are in bed. It's a school night. They're not watching.
Yeah.
So you don't need to recap what I just saw.
Yeah.
Before the commercial break.
But yeah, and then after that, they did the Ambrose came out to the ring to cut his promo.
The uncrowned WWE champion, Dean Ambrose.
Exactly.
And this is where we earn our explicit tag for the week. What the fuck is a lunatic fringe? Like, what? Okay, he's a lunatic, but what is a lunatic fringe? Like, is he almost a lunatic? Because no, he really is all the way a lunatic. Yeah. Can somebody explain that to me?
It doesn't make any. Where I live near Nashville, there's actually a store called the Lunatic Fringe.
There's a pretty.
I keep meaning to take a picture of it and like post it on Twitter or something, but every time I drive by it, I'm like, no, I don't want to. There's
a pretty notable insane asylum around there, I believe, because back in the XFL days, the Memphis Maniacs got a lot of public heat because I guess that group or whatever felt they were being targeted and made fun of by the name Memphis Maniacs.
I like the colors of the team. It was like
they were pretty cool.
Yeah, it was like that teal and the red. Yeah.
I was a Vegas Outlaws fan myself.
I was an LA Extreme. I have an LA Extreme jersey.
Yeah, I mean, Tommy
Maddox ended up playing for the Steelers, that's my team. So,
drafted by the Broncos to replace John Elway. That never happened.
Nope, not at all. And then Tommy Maddox got hurt, and Ben Roethlisberger came over.
Came in. I even remember watching the game when he messed his shoulder up, and I'm like, well, there goes his career.
Yep, it's like, and he's gone forever.
And then it was 15-1 from there on out.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
But yeah, Ambrose came out to do his typical, I should be champion, but since I'm not, time to move on. I want Lesnar kind of thing.
Oh yeah, what a tough guy pulling a crowbar out of his jacket. Yo, you're a real man you're a bitch with a crowbar. Okay, fight Brock Lesnar like a man. And I don't slight Brock Lesnar for not getting in the ring. He's playing mind games with Dean Ambrose. Mm-hmm. He's like, I can get you at any time, just not tonight.
Yeah. And I expect something's going to happen next week on Smackdown because they're advertising him. They're advertising Lesnar for Smackdown, and they even Ambrose
a wasted appearance.
Yeah. And every time he's on Smackdown, he comes in, he's there for literally like 2 minutes, and he leaves.
Dean Ambrose could bring 2 crowbars, and Brock Lesnar is still going to murder him.
Yeah. I'm hoping they get like those phony crowbars that you can like bend, just to make Lesnar look like a badass, even though like.
Oh, like the one that Johnny Mundo hit Puma in the face with last year and nearly murdered him.
Yeah, or also at the beginning of this year when Mundo hit Cage in the face, or was it? With that pipe.
Yeah, he's been feuding with Cage the whole season.
Yeah, and then him and Taya.
The Molina 2.0.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Lesnar's just playing mind games with him. He's gonna murder him at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
I'm save that for our official prediction show.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go. I think we're gonna go different ways on that one.
I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, Lesnar came out, tried to fight him, but since he had the crowbar, he, like you said, kind of playing mind games, like kind of faked getting in the ring, and then kind of laughed as he was walking out. And then
I do like how he was going to walk to the back with Paul Heyman and just kind of like stood there and hesitated.
Yeah, and was just like, you know what? No, I'm gonna go do this.
Nope, I'm gonna go handle my business now. And I don't know if that was intentional. Like Brock Lesnar is a mind of his own, and they're slowly gonna plant the seeds for a breakup. Or maybe it was just Brock Lesnar just wanted to get a piece of Dean Ambrose. I don't know if that was just as simple as that, but that was kind of cool, where it's like, no, I'm not going to listen to you, Paul. I'm going to go do what I want to do tonight.
Yeah, exactly. That was one thing that I did like. And then how do you follow up that kind of cool section of Raw? By Sin Cara versus Ryback.
Yes. Sin Cara Negro is back. Like,
yeah.
I thought when he lost to Sin Cara Azul, he was no longer allowed in WWE. Like, literally. They had good Sin Cara, bad Sin Cara.
Yeah, I do remember
Sin
that.
Cara lost. Well, there he is. He's back.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I hadn't eaten at this point, so I took most of this time to go make me something to eat.
Yeah, my thoughts on this match are, who gives a damn?
Yeah.
I guess it's back versus Kalisto.
Yeah, the whole point of this match was, he did multiple shell shocks while he was staring down Kalisto, who was standing on the outside, and then basically said, that's what happens when a big, small, or, a good, or a bad, big, or a good bad guy meets, or, I don't know, he said something about being big, and, yeah, he said something about being big, and Sin Cara was being small, and then he challenged him to a title match at Mania.
But I'm pretty sure that match is now official.
They've made it official. That is a match that's going to happen, and it doesn't intrigue me at all.
Your multi-man title match is going to be your Intercontinental match, where you have Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. The really good people are all going to be crammed into one match.
Yeah.
And your singles match is going to be the shitty Ryback versus the pretty damn good Kalisto.
Yeah, and that's what I was just about to say. Is like I love Kalisto. I mean that dude can go, but putting him up against a brick wall, like,
if you put Kalisto versus Neville, that would be I would accept that as your one-on-one match with your multi-man Intercontinental match.
Yeah.
But there's no, obviously Neville got hurt, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But there's nobody up to that level that you can now put against Kalisto, so I don't want to see Ryback one-on-one against anybody.
I got so excited, I think it was last week or the week before last, when Kalisto went up against Tyler Breeze, and I even tweeted out, I was like, any other time, like, this match could happen on NXT TakeOver, and they would give him a solid 10-15 minutes. But since it's on Raw...
2 minutes.
Yeah. Since it's on Raw, Breeze is going to job out in 2 minutes.
And it's unfortunate that Tyler Breeze is not even on the level of, I don't know.
I honestly hope they put him into the Intercontinental title match.
He's so low on the card. He's not even on the level of superstars, really. I mean, he's getting matches there, but if he were higher on the card, he could be. I mean, if Vince McMahon wasn't a total dickbag, that he could be in that U.S. title match.
I would like to see him, with Neville getting hurt, I would like to see them put Breeze into that IC title match. Now, it'll probably never happen, but it's just wishful thinking on my part, just because I like Breeze.
Maybe if they put him against Ron Killings in, like, some kind of qualifying match. Oh, well, no, never mind. R-Truth will think he's in a Hell in a Cell and do some kind of weird stuff.
Yeah.
He'll forget.
But he'd end up winning because he's so over with that awful Golden Truth shit. So it's just...
I don't know what's going on with that, and I don't even want to talk about it, but Goldust was, like, doing something, and R-Truth is like, yeah, I'll be your tag team partner, and Goldust goes, yeah, no thanks, I'm over it.
While he's dressed like a penguin.
What the hell? I don't even want to talk about that. Let's move on.
No. Okay, and next up was the start of the, for us, it was the 8 o'clock hour, and Stephanie McMahon came out to welcome everyone to Monday Night Raw, even the show had been on for over an hour.
I gotta say, Triple H is looking really old. Like,
yeah.
He's looking, now he can still go.
Yeah.
Like, at TakeOver, he did everything he needed to do to get Dean Ambrose over. He's wrestling smart, but he's still wrestling the kind of match that gets a crowd, like, geeked. I mean, he can still do everything he did 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Because his style has always been mat-based.
He's always been a power wrestler. He's never been one to do, high flying or anything like that. No. He's just I'm gonna punch you in the face, and then I'm gonna pedigree you.
Now, he did a fantastic job of narrating everyday life.
Oh, you mean the promo where everyone in the crowd wanted to commit suicide?
You are horrible people. Your life is miserable. Your wife will leave you and sleep with the pool boy, and you're going to amount to nothing.
Yeah, that. And what I did like was that as he's talking, like, they're all booing him. He's like, oh, you hope that this is going to happen. And you go home and you hope that this... And then he turned it to, and Roman Reigns is hoping to beat me. And then they're all booing Roman Reigns. Oh, it's so funny.
Reports were that Vince McMahon was extremely pissed off backstage with the crowd reactions.
Oh, yeah, I did hear about that. I was like...
You don't give a damn.
It's your fault. You're pushing a guy that nobody wants to see. Like, I could understand if they pushed him, like, in the Intercontinental thing right now. Like, because right now, like, I don't really see him as a top guy. Like, I could see him as a top mid-card guy. Like, him feuding with, like, Kevin Owens or him feuding with, someone of that nature. Like, I could see that happening, but...
I am still a Triple H fan, like I said last week.
Yeah.
Still the man. But I'm slowly getting on board. Actually, not even slowly. Roman Reigns is going to win the belt at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
He's going to be your champion at least until Survivor Series. He's going to have a long title run.
And don't get me wrong, like I like Roman Reigns. Like I'm not one where it's like, oh, screw him, blah blah blah, like most fans are. But I mean, he'll probably win at Mania, like you said. And will that affect me in any way? No, not at all.
I'm not gonna get mad and cancel.
No, like I'm not gonna be upset if he wins. I'm not gonna be upset if he loses. They've got a story that they want to play out, and I'm here to watch.
I'm not gonna get excited if he wins, but I'm going to get excited if Triple H wins, and it won't be because Roman Reigns lost. It's because Triple H won.
Yeah.
I'm just learning to accept the fact that, like a few years ago with John Cena, there was no social media for me back then, so I wasn't the vocal, oh, we hate Cena. I never wished injury or death on him. I just hated him because I didn't like the gimmick. I didn't like him. But after a while, it was like, okay, he's the guy. There's nothing I can do about it. I mean, it's just going to be that way until he gets hurt bad and then they find somebody else, or until he retires, which still hasn't happened.
Yeah.
And that was like 6 years ago. So with Roman Reigns, it's the same thing. I'm not even going to bother wasting the energy hating him. I'm just going to accept it, and maybe he'll be a better heel. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Did you see the tweet that someone was criticizing him on Twitter about how he's like a boring wrestler and all this stuff?
Ryan Reigns?
Yeah. Did you see his reply to the fan?
I did not.
He said something about I don't remember what the tweet exactly was, but the fan tweeted at him and said like, "Oh, your wrestling's boring" and all this stuff, And then Roman Reigns said something along the lines of like, "Oh, don't," or what was it? Something along the lines of like, "Oh, your hand." Hold on, you keep talking. Let me try and find it real quick.
All right. Well, in that same vein, I did see today where Rockstar Spud was interacting with some fans on Twitter, and for those of you who don't watch TNA, I don't blame you. He's probably one of the two good things about that promotion.
Yeah, I do like him.
Some fan tweeted him, and I don't watch the show, so I don't know what's going on, but some fan tweeted him and said, "I like your new attitude. Keep it up. Good job." And I don't know if he was being sarcastic, but Rockstar Spud tweeted back, "Well, I don't like yours. Stop tweeting me." And that was it. And then somebody tweeted him like a suggestion or something like, you should do A, B, and C. And Spud responds, he quotes it and responds with, "Take your suggestions to a, quote, fan forum. I am above this. Stop tweeting me." So I was like, this is great.
Okay, I found it. Someone tweeted at him and said, "Do you hear how everyone boos you? If you win the WWE Championship, I'll break all my fingers. You're a terrible wrestler." And he responded, he quoted the tweet and said, "Looks like your sex life is going to struggle." If they book Reigns as like this badass like heel, like this could work. Like I saw that and I'm like, that's the wrestler that I want to see. That's
not even really a heel. Like
no. I mean,
remember how John Cena trolled The Rock back in the day?
Oh yeah, Fruity Pebble looking. He was
technically the face, I believe.
Yeah, because everyone hated.
I don't remember, but if you could be that cocky face, I think that would work. Now, if you border on heel territory, then you cross over and lose that effect. But if you're basically putting trolls in their place, people are gonna love that.
Yeah. But yeah, did you get confused like I did whenever Ziggler's music hit during Triple H's promo?
Yes and no. I'm like, why is he still coming out? Like, what's going on?
And he cut a very John Cena promo.
He cut a very good promo.
Yeah, it was very good.
Very into his promo, and he didn't it was not a John Cena promo for me because there was no corny humor.
Yeah. Like,
it was actually straightforward. He's angry. I don't remember what he said because that was like 6 days ago, and don't care.
He was saying something along the lines of like, I don't care if you want to fire me.
That's right.
These people, came to, these people want to see a good show and all this stuff. And that's when Stephanie said, "Oh, you're, very Cena-esque promo right now," or something like that.
That was 2012 Dolph Ziggler in the body of 2016 Ziggler, quoting 2014 Ziggler. Like, that Survivor Series match was a year and a half ago.
And they're still talking
Get
about
over it. And it accomplished nothing.
Yeah, it worked for a month, and then
That's the
they were
stain
back.
on Sting's career.
Yeah.
Like, that was his crowning achievement in this company, was showing up at Survivor Series and costing the Authority a match to lose control of the company, which they got back literally a month later.
But yeah. But one of my favorite parts of Ziggler's promo was that he called Stephanie an idiot. I laughed out loud. That was pretty funny.
I was thinking, where are they going with this? Like, why now? Why here? And then, because he's kind of wearing a sport coat and like a nice shirt.
Yeah, because he was very like Authority-esque. Like he was wearing a suit and tie, and
I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's finally gonna just give up and just say, you know what? Fine, I'm on your side. You know, because he started talking like, you know what? If you want me, you got me. But then he was like, you know what? I'll never join the Authority.
Yeah,
because threw it in their face, and I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah, because Triple H was even
off.
off.
They're gonna put him in a match with Triple H. He's gonna lose badly, and then he's gonna go, okay, fine, I give up. You win.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then that was the thing, because Triple H even said like, oh, you know, the reason you haven't been doing so good is because you haven't had the right people giving you advice.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm thinking maybe this still leads to a larger angle where maybe Ziggler does team up with the Authority.
And that'd be cool because then you could introduce Rollins whenever he comes back and be like, oh, you want to replace me with him kind of thing. And that could still start out with a little feud between him and Ziggler and eventually lead to Rollins.
How about he joins the Authority on Raw this Monday night, and sort of as like stick it to Roman Reigns, you make him run through a gauntlet or or just make him go through a match with Ziggler.
Yeah.
And maybe who else is involved in this feud? That I asked this question weeks ago. There's nobody else left. J&J Security's gone. Kane's gone. Big Show isn't with the Authority anymore.
Well, he's also hurt too, so
there are no Authority members that they can put him in a gauntlet against. It's like you theoretically would have Ziggler if he were to join, but right now the Authority is Triple H and Stephanie.
Yeah.
And Triple H is not going to wrestle Roman Reigns until WrestleMania. So who do you put Roman Reigns up against to kind of... Because the big thing is always make the babyface run through all these challenges to get to the heel champion.
Yeah, and honestly...
Who do you put him up against in the next 2 weeks to kind of weaken him?
I could see him being like, oh, this week, you fight the entire... I mean, they've already done it before, but it's like, oh, you fight the entire League of Nations, or you fight the entire, Wyatt family. And that could tie into the whole Bray Wyatt thing because, Wyatt got in Triple H's face and like brushed the title and kind of signaled like, hey, I'm coming for
that
this.
That was weird. I don't understand that. I mean,
hey, I liked it.
They haven't done anything with it. It's not like
not yet.
If Bray Wyatt were to offer to help Triple H, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, I will help you if you give me a title match at, let's say, Payback or whatever the first pay-per-view after WrestleMania is.
Yeah.
Which, it used to be Extreme Rules. I think it's Payback now. I think Payback is the new Backlash.
Probably. But yeah, Stephanie said that Ziggler is going to get a match against Triple H, and if he wins, then he can be a part of any match, excluding the title match. And my first thought was Reigns is going to come in and cost Triple H the match, so Ziggler could get whatever match he wanted.
Which, it's typical WWE, the babyface the fans love. Hey, if you win, you can have any match you want on the card, except for, obviously, the world title match. Of course he's going to lose and get no match.
Yeah.
But he'll be in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal.
He'll get in something, but he'll be the second or third to last one in, and people are going to boo, and they'll probably have the winner be, Bray Wyatt or Braun Strowman or someone that the crowd doesn't like.
Yeah. Because it won't be Mark Henry, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, that's true. All right. And then the following match was Sami Zayn versus The Miz with Kevin Owens on commentary, and his anger towards Maggle is hilarious.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. I forget the question. Maybe you have it written down. Michael Cole asks Kevin Owens a point-blank question. Kevin Owens then answers the question very appropriately. And then Michael Cole still is not pleased and asks again for an answer. And then JBL says, damn it, Maggle, he just answered you. I'm like, yeah, You asked him a question, he gave you an answer, and you still pressed him for an answer. Like,
yeah, I didn't write it down.
Who's the heel and who is the face? The dude answered your question. Leave him alone.
Yeah, one of my favorite things was when Byron Saxton was talking about Sami Zayn, and he was just like, "Well, Sami Zayn did eliminate you from the Royal Rumble, Kevin." And then Kevin Owens just looked at Byron and said, "Do you want to be eliminated from this commentary table? Because you're close." And then all of a sudden you hear JBL said, "I would like that."
Yeah, I did like that, and it was a complete callback to NXT where he destroyed Alex Riley and threw him off the commentary table, and then proceeded to harass Byron Saxton for the next several weeks. He would sit next to him, put his arm around him, pat him on the head. Yeah. It was like complete like chiller, thriller, horror movie stuff where it was like he's totally stalking Byron Saxton, but in a friendly way.
Yeah. But yeah, Owens tried to distract Sami Zayn, but Miz hit him from behind, so of course they're going to put Miz into this multi-man match. They both got into the ring, and then Zayn.
I don't mind.
Actually. No, I don't mind. Like Miz is a good wrestler.
Being part of it.
Yeah, Miz is a good wrestler. Granted, I don't like the gimmick he uses, but that's neither here nor there.
I don't even understand his gimmick anymore. He's not really the A-lister anymore.
He's just like, I'm better than you, and it's because I've done this,
like
this, and this.
A total Hollywood douchebag, kinda, but he still wears that weird like evening gown or whatever it is with the hood on it.
Yeah, the hooded dress type thing.
I don't know what you're. It's like. It's very vague what he is right now. I can't say you're still the Hollywood A-lister because they haven't brought it up. They've brought up his really bad B movies, Christmas movies that he's done on commentary, but I don't quite know what his deal is.
Yeah, I don't get. All I get from his gimmick is I'm better than you because I've done this, this, and this, and you'll never be as good as me, kind of thing. Like the arrogant. The typical arrogant heel, and yeah, I mean he's a good wrestler. Like, don't get me wrong, like his match with AJ Styles a couple weeks ago was really good. And again, I'll say it's because AJ Styles was in the match and he can make anyone look good. But yeah,
Randy Orton doing 12 rounds reloaded was already better than the Miz.
Yeah, yeah,
and that's with doing. The Condemned 2.
Yeah.
On top of that, he's still better than the Miz.
Yeah. But yeah, they both got into the ring, and then Zayn hit the Helluva Kick for the win.
Which I blinked, looked away, and missed completely.
It's a quick finisher move. He just runs at him in the corner. But yeah, they went to commercial, and guess what? Another recap of the New Day beatdown.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jeez, who'd have thunk it?
Yeah, and that led to a backstage segment where the League of Nations challenged New Day to a tag title match at Mania, and since then they've come out and accepted the match, so that tag title is official, and as of right now, it looks like it's going to be a 4-on-3 handicap match.
I want to bring up something one of our friends on the We Watch Wrestling podcast brought up.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was Tom Sibley asked, why does the New Day keep getting all these title matches? Like, or not New Day, League of Nations.
League of Nations, yeah.
They lost again.
They lost at Roadblock, and then they lost then they lost 2 nights later on Monday Night Raw, and now
one half lost at Roadblock, the other half lost at Raw. They've lost in past weeks with other combinations of the 4.
Yeah.
I mean,
obviously they're not a good tag team. So obviously they're not a good tag team.
No, but so beatdowns get you title matches now.
Yeah.
Because that was all they did that was any good was a beatdown of the guys. I mean. And why don't they start using the Freebird rules in these matches? Because obviously the New Day's allowed to.
Yeah. And that's another thing that people were saying on other podcasts was that it might be, and they brought up a reference, like, I don't remember what it was, but there was a tag match years ago, and it was a 2-on-2, but each one had like a third and a fourth person, like part of their stable, and the whole key to the match was, it's a tag match, but there has to be at least one person on the floor for each team. So, like, say, Kofi and Big E start the match, they could tag in Xavier Woods, but whoever tagged in Xavier had to go out onto the floor and couldn't be a part of the match. So I could see something like that happening at Mania, but honestly, I could also see it as a 4-on-3 for the tag titles. But
That would make absolutely no sense because
Yep.
a tag team match is 7 people. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so after that happened, there was a Divas tag match. Only thing that I really want to say about this is that Tamina and Naomi had a really cool kind of like double finisher type thing. It was like Naomi had Brie in what looked like it was like the big ending, and then Naomi came in and did like a DDT suplex type thing. I just thought it was really cool. The match was nothing, but
I only want to say that when this match started, I turned the TV off and played Madden for a few minutes.
well, that
And then
works.
when I came back, there was no more Divas match. So
Yeah.
I was happy.
That was followed up with the Social Outcast Burger King hot dog segment, which
I
we
missed
will
that
not talk
too,
about.
thank God.
Then it was followed up with the backstage segment with Paige.
Missed that too, thank God.
Well, this one, nothing really happened. Renee was talking to her, and she was interrupted by Lana, and then she basically called Lana a whore because she said she's been with a lot of men, and then that's when Tamina and Naomi walked up, and they're like, "Oh, are you, basically they were like, "Oh, you talking shit about my friend? Watch your mouth." And ultimately, that's setting up a 3-on-3 Divas match for WrestleMania. Hopefully for the kickoff show, it's probably going to be Lana, Naomi, and Tamina against Brie, Alicia Fox, and
Hell, just put
Paige.
that as the opening match on the show, and let that be the second Divas match you have. First being your title match.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember a pay-per-view or a non-Raw that's had 2 Divas matches in ever.
Yeah. Well, they said this year that WrestleMania is pretty much going to be 7 hours long.
Well,
that's with
last
the pre-show and the kickoff show and all that stuff.
It was a
but-
2-hour pre-show and a 4-hour show. This year, what, a 3-hour pre-show?
Well, they've actually said that they're going to have a 1-hour special on the USA Network, which is going to air the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
Lame.
And that's going to lead into the kickoff show, I'm assuming, which will be on the network, and then that will lead into WrestleMania.
So not only is WrestleMania free for new subscribers, and I'm getting charged because I'm not a new subscriber, but you're also giving away part of the show for free.
You can, yeah, and honestly,
On
like
TV.
the Memorial Battle Royal is one of the matches that I'm kind of looking forward to, just to see like what they're going to do with it.
So will that still be on the network as well, or only on USA Network?
I'm assuming it'll be on both, but they're kind of advertising it as going to be on USA Network.
Because I'm pretty much planning on watching WrestleMania this year, unless something comes up.
Yeah.
But I don't want to sit through 7 hours.
Yeah. I'm hoping I can, maybe, kind of get some people together to watch it with me.
I can't sit through 7 hours spread out over the course of 7 days, much less 7 hours in one sitting.
On one
Triple
day.
H has said, I think it was Triple H who has said that he can't even go to the movies and watch a movie that's 2.5 hours long. He starts to lose interest after 2 hours-ish, which is the problem. He was talking about the problem with wrestling being 3 hours on Mondays. I can't keep my focus after 2 hours. Exactly. You expect me to keep my focus for 7 hours? Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't keep it for 3 hours on Monday.
Yeah. And then there was, guess what? Another backstage segment. This time with Charlotte and her robotic promos, which are awful. I hate Charlotte on the microphone. She sounds way too scripted. Granted, she's a good heel, but it's just...
Yes,
you
I
can
agree.
tell her promos are scripted. Also, the more I see Ric Flair, the more I want him off TV.
We should institute our own no-fly list.
Yeah.
People don't need to be on TV anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Well, my first entrant is Ric Flair.
I'm officially nominating Chris Jericho on the no-fly list.
Yeah.
And you put Ric Flair on there, so that we'll keep a record of this running list.
Yeah, exactly. Also, they need to change the Divas title back to the women's title because the whole butterfly thing is just doesn't make any sense. Especially when you have the top 3 women in the company in Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha. Like, none of them look good with the butterfly tattoo. Like, I don't know. Like,
Nope.
I was watching the network the other day, and whatever was on, I just hit play, and they were doing, it was a rivalries thing between Trish and Lita, and it was the women's championship that they were going after. Like, they were battling each other for, and I was just like, they need to go back to that, because that was good.
And this was the show where Jacqueline was nominated for the Hall of Fame, am I correct?
Yes.
I did not know she was a 16-time women's champion.
I did not either. I knew she had won.
One in WWF, but apparently it was 2 in WWF and 14 in the USWA, which when she was in was still a big deal at that time.
Yeah.
Because I want to say, I didn't do any research on this, but I want to say she was in the USWA before she went to WCW, which was like 95, 96. And then I believe she went right from WCW to WWF in 97, 98.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where she remained until I think she left in 2003 or 4, I want to say.
Something like that. I don't remember.
Hey, and she was also a women's world champion, too.
That's true.
Of the USWA. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah, she definitely, not just being on the WCW and WWF at the peak of their popularity, but just your championship accomplishments alone in a company that actually meant something.
Yeah.
You deserve the Hall of Fame for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, The Godfather was just a guy who played multiple characters, but he was kind of a big deal during a big deal time of wrestling. The Godfather wasn't really anything special. He was an Intercontinental Champion. He kind of was a cool character. Yeah, you can justify putting him in the fake Hall of Fame. That doesn't really mean anything. But Jacqueline, a real Wrestling Hall of Fame she would be in. Because that's my piece.
Alrighty. And that was a lead-in to... What was next? The Usos against Adam Rose and Bo Dallas. And
I have no memory of this match.
Yeah, there was 2 things that I really just want to talk about. It looks like they're getting rid of their little battle cry thing.
Thank you.
At the beginning, whenever they first walk out, because when they walk, I don't know if they were just short on time or what. I don't know why, like 15 seconds.
I did remember the entrance, and I
yeah, it just came out. It was just pyro and their music, and they walked out. Also, the Dudleys were on commentary, and Bubba Ray said something about they hit the Usos family, and he said Alpha, Sika, The Rock, and their fat-ass father. I thought that was pretty funny.
Made an appearance on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I love it.
Now,
if Devon goes away, if Devon goes away, they could totally, go back to Bully Ray, and he could be one of the top heels in the company. Like
Bubba Ray is never going to be the true Bully Ray because it's still PG.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's still certain things that they can't do content-wise.
Yeah.
But they push the PG boundaries at times. I mean, they really do. But you can still be a bully and a badass where you're kind of pushing the envelope. It could still work.
Yeah. I think it could work.
Yeah, you'd totally be accused of copying TNA, but you know what? Nobody was watching back then.
Yeah,
except for a few of us who saw Bully Ray. Do it. Bring that character, and I think he could at least be an Intercontinental Champion.
Oh, yeah. And at least, I mean, maybe it might be even a strong word, but a heavyweight champion. Not a champion, but a championship contender.
Upper mid-card for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, Usos ended up winning, blah, blah, blah. And that led to a backstage segment with Ambrose and Foley. Foley came back, and he passes the proverbial torch to Ambrose in the form of his barbed wire baseball bat.
Does this mean that this match at WrestleMania is going to be a bloody brawl?
I certainly
consider a hardcore match.
I certainly hope so.
Now, I refuse to watch any of Dean Ambrose's CZW stuff because I just don't like the blood and the light tubes anymore.
Yeah.
Like on a regular basis.
You mean you didn't like it whenever the guy took the sawzall or buzzsaw to Ambrose's face?
I won't watch that.
I've seen a GIF of it, and I'm just like, ugh.
I say that, and then I watch the Vampiro Pentagon match from Ultima Lucha, and I'm like, you know what? That was the lead up to a blood feud. That was the end of a blood feud. I get it. But just because it's Tuesday, we're going to have a light tube match? No, man, come on. That's got to be the blow off to a serious blood feud if you're going to use that kind of weapon.
Yeah.
Now, this going through WrestleMania, I don't mind it being a street fight because, honestly, that's the only way that I, as a fan, legitimately see Ambrose having any chance to compete, much less win. But I don't want to see, like, an Extreme Rules burn lighting tables on fire and stuff. I don't want to see all that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think there's going to be I don't think there's going to be like a ton of blood, like, early 2000s, but I think someone will get busted. But
and now Mick Foley pledging his support for Dean Ambrose and kind of running down Brock Lesnar. Does this mean that Brock Lesnar is going to beat down Mick Foley before WrestleMania?
Ooh.
Because that seems to be the way they do it, where somebody pledges support for your opponent, so you beat them down in protest.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I could see it happening, but at the same time, I could see it not happening. So
otherwise, what's the point of this segment? Like, having Mick Foley, of all people, just show up to give Dean Ambrose a barbed wire bat to compete with Brock Lesnar, if Brock Lesnar isn't going to get some kind of retribution or attack Mick Foley to get to Dean Ambrose, what was the point?
Well, I heard something on one of the other podcasts. I don't remember which one it was because I wanted to kind of give him credit. But whenever Dean Ambrose was in NXT, he would always have these back and forths with Mick Foley.
Yes, I do remember that.
And they were going to bring up Ambrose like real quick, like super quick, and have him feud with Mick Foley, like, and have like hardcore matches and stuff. So I guess this is their way of being like, well, we didn't get to fight, so you're the new me.
I know Monster brought it up quite often.
Yeah.
I mean, not quite often, but he was reporting on it, and it was on Twitter. I mean, they were having back and forths, and they were having public like standoffs and stuff.
Yeah.
They just killed it because that would have killed Ambrose quick. Like, once you're done with that, what do you do? Where do you go from there?
Yeah, exactly.
And the Shield was a much better idea, too.
Yeah, I agree. But then, the next thing up was the Ziggler versus Triple H match.
Should have been saved for the main event.
Yeah, it should have. But yeah, it was a real good match.
It was the hour 2 main event. I mean, come on, man.
I have a question. Mainly just because this is something that I've always, not typically with this one match, but like with every match, they say, you can't use weapons or you'll be disqualified.
Mm-hmm.
So how does using the ring, like when they get thrown into the ring steps, how is that not using a weapon? Like, why is that never a disqualification?
I want to say it's because it's part of the ring. You're allowed to use the ring as a weapon because you drop them on the turnbuckle cover, you drop them on the ropes, you drop them on the ring apron. Yeah. So it's connected to the ring, so you're allowed to use it.
I get that, but then like they're like, oh, he's slamming him into the ring, but then they're like, oh, and now he's using the steel steps and stuff. Like, if someone were to grab a steel chair, like, of course it's going to be... it's just something I was just curious about.
It's kind of like if you throw them into the chair, it's fine. If you pick it up and use it, it's not fine. Yeah, it's a weird line there. But since it's still connected to the ring, it's okay. But with your point, so why is taking apart the announce table okay?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Putting them on the announce table and then jumping off should be an automatic disqualification.
It should.
I don't know.
But yeah, ultimately, this was a really good match. Triple H ended up winning, which kind of surprised me because I was thinking like, oh, well, Dolph's going to win and insert himself into the Intercontinental title match. But no, Triple H ended up winning, and that brought out Roman Reigns to like cheers for like 3 seconds and then automatically turned into boos. And he doesn't say anything. He just beats Triple H's ass.
He was the silent ass kicker that everybody's been complaining about for months, and they still booed him.
Yep.
And you want to know why? It's because WWE booked him to be off of TV for 3 weeks, and people see that as weak. That's WWE's fault, not Roman Reigns' fault. They finally gave people what they wanted, but they're not going to support this guy because they haven't.
Too little, too late.
Yep.
But yeah, it was a good backstage segment where he was just anything he could grab, he was just throwing it at him. And then whenever he used the monitor and slammed it against Triple H's back, I thought that was kind of cool.
The TV was still plugged in.
Yeah, it was still turned on. I thought that was...
that box Triple H threw at the referee.
Yeah.
The referee hurt his ankle.
Yeah, the ref had to get like 13 stitches or something like that.
Triple H busted his head open too.
Yeah, had to get 6 staples.
Oh, jeez.
They actually showed the video of him getting staples as like a WWE.com exclusive.
Okay, I need to talk about that exclusive bullshit.
Yeah.
That Neville video should have never seen the light of day.
No, that was so heartbreaking. Like, dude, Neville's one of my favorite guys, and just the fact
obviously
that...
you want to document this kind of stuff, but don't put the man on the spot like that.
Yeah.
Tell us afterward that, he was emotional because he knows he's out of WrestleMania, but I did not need to see that video because, first of all, it's kind of hard to watch, and second of all, Neville doesn't know he's on camera right at that point. He's in the trainer's room.
Yeah.
And doctor-patient confidentiality does not mean anything to these people.
Yeah, I know. And that was just... Neville's one of my top guys, and like the fact that he still tried to go on with his match, like, we're just going to skip the whole Goldust segment. We'll just go straight to the Jericho Neville thing. But yeah, whenever he went for that baseball slide, and then you could hear... I
can't blame Charles Robinson at all for that, because the referees are told to book or call the match like it's happening for real.
Yeah.
Count the 3 count like it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
That's like the referee at WrestleMania 30 in the Undertaker-Brock Lesnar match. He wasn't sure if he should go down all the way for 3, so he hesitated a little bit. Because Undertaker's not going to lose, is he? So he counts the 3 count, and that's kind of part of the controversy there. Same thing with Charles Robinson. Count the shoulders. His shoulders were up, so I'm stopping my count.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Jericho did a good job of saving it, and Charles Robinson kind of, okay, this is how we're getting out of this, disqualification.
Yeah.
They kind of caught it on the fly, but, I mean, you don't know how bad a person's hurt, or if he's selling an injury that he doesn't really have. I mean...
Yeah, but you could tell, like you could tell he was hurt because, like, he wasn't putting any weight on it, but the fact that he did his, like, spinning back kick into what was one of, a pretty Hurricane Rana.
Yeah.
And then you could hear Neville and Jericho talking to each other because they've got the microphones on the ring up so loud. Like, you could hear Neville say, I think I broke my ankle. And then you could hear Jericho say something along the lines of, okay, I'm going to go for a roll-up. And that's why... And then you hear the argument between Jericho and Charles Robinson. But yeah, I just feel bad for him. And yeah, that video should have never...
Yeah, I didn't pick up on any of that.
Yeah.
I just saw Jericho, like, push the referee like he's just being a heel douche. Like, how dare you not count to 3? And I'm like, wait, dude was hurt? Well, that looked seamless to me. And I wasn't paying attention very closely, so, they got me. But people who were paying attention, that didn't come off well at all.
I didn't catch it at first, but I went back online on Twitter, and someone was like, here's the video. You could actually hear them talking to each other. And it has, like, apparently it's on, like, the Hulu cut. You can actually, like, put on the subtitles and stuff, and you can actually hear them saying, like, I think I broke my ankle or something. But yeah, I heard about it, and I went and watched it. But yeah, that video should have never happened with him in the back, because you could tell, like, you're 3 weeks out from the biggest show of the year, and the fact that he broke his ankle and shin bone. But I guess there is good news coming out of it. He won't need surgery. They're just going to use, they did say they're just going to put a cast on it, let him use crutches, and let it heal on its own. And he's only going to be out for 2 to 3 months, as opposed to, with surgery, 4 to 6 months or 8 months, So he'll definitely be back quicker. And he seems like a guy who would, be all about, rehabbing, as soon as the cast comes off.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So I wouldn't put it past him if he's back in, like, a month, or not a month, but like a month and a half kind of thing.
Once the bone is set and healed enough for him to put weight on it and start, moving again, wrestling movements, he'll be fine.
Yeah. But yeah, after that happened, Jericho grabbed a mic and yelled at the crowd. AJ Styles came out, hit him with what they're calling now the phenomenal forearm. But yeah, it was okay. It was just a way to get AJ Styles on TV. And it was probably Jericho doing the thing to where, like, oh shit, I've got to do something. Quick, give me a microphone.
Yeah,
and then he's a heel.
You still got to fill that time.
Yeah, exactly. And that led to the Vince, Shane, and Undertaker segment.
Okay, for me, Vince McMahon said a bunch of stuff and I ignored most of it.
Yes.
Shane McMahon was clearly not on his game. He butchered his entire promo. He can't throw a punch to save his life.
Yes.
This entire angle makes no sense to me.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me.
I understand that Shane has evidence of some improprieties or misconduct.
Which they haven't addressed since the first night he showed up.
Vince wants his son taken out, so to speak, so he can get back this incriminating box of secrets. Shane wants control of Raw. That's why the match was made. But what's in it for The Undertaker? What does he get out of this? You're putting your body in a hell in a cell at 49 years old or 50 years old. What are you getting out of this? Okay, you win. Yay. You're 23-1. You lose. You're 22-2. But, okay, aside from a win-loss record, what are you getting out of this?
Yeah.
Do you get to be Shane McMahon's, no, you don't, because if you win, Shane doesn't get his control. So if Vince keeps control, what do you get? You get to burn the evidence for Vince? Do you get to see the evidence? Vince McMahon wants his son hurt badly. So when Undertaker grabs you by the throat and says, the blood of your son is on you, how does that hurt Vince McMahon? He wants you to hurt him. This does not make much sense to me.
This whole thing doesn't make sense.
I don't even care to see the match at this point. No, I really don't care.
Yeah, it's one of those where
a 47-year-old Shane McMahon's going to do a coast to coast. No, he's not.
Yeah,
he's going to jump off the cage probably, but I don't need to see a 45-year-old man jumping off a cage.
This whole match, whenever the match whenever he first came out in there, he was like, "Oh, I want control of Monday Night Raw." My first instinct was, cool, they're going to put him in the corner of Roman Reigns, and Vince is going to be in the corner of Triple H, and if Roman Reigns wins, he gets the title, and Shane gets control of Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
But, no. And apparently this whole thing was Shane's idea, because they knew John Cena wasn't going to make it back in time, so they're like, okay, well, let's, here's my idea, why not? And apparently Vince liked it, but...
I never thought I'd catch myself saying this. I wish John Cena had a match.
Yeah, I'm not really a John. I'm not a Cena. I don't like John Cena, but I don't hate John Cena, but I don't like John Cena. He's one of those kind of with Roman Reigns. If he wins, cool. If he loses, cool.
Yeah.
But I would much rather see John Cena versus the Undertaker and have the Undertaker go out like he was supposed to. And
the last 4 years, 5 years, especially since they introduced The Rock into everything, I've caught myself rooting for John Cena more than a few times.
Yeah, I was definitely pulling for him. What was it at the Survivor Series match when they're like, "Oh, if your team wins."
Yeah, definitely.
I was definitely pulling for him there, but
perspective there, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about just and I'm not even talking about the U.S. Open Challenge. That was cool on all.
Oh yeah, I was more excited about who was going to debut,
him versus whoever he fought at WrestleMania 30.
30 was Bray Wyatt.
That was Bray Wyatt. Never mind. WrestleMania 31. I can't remember. Rusev?
Yeah.
Definitely wanted John Cena to win, even though it made more sense for Rusev to win.
Yeah.
I'm John Cena, it's cool. Yeah. Or any random SummerSlam, it's just I catch myself rooting for John Cena at times.
Yeah, I'm the same way. But then there's also times where I'm just all three of his matches with Kevin Owens, I was like, oh, come on, Kevin Owens.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I definitely wanted Kevin Owens to win those because that's better for business, and it's better for Kevin Owens, and it's better for me because I'm a Steen fan. I want Kevin Steen to win.
Yeah. Shane calls Taker a puppet, and Vince is pulling the strings, and then Shane told Taker, I have the misfortune of being Vince's son, but you are just Vince's bitch.
Oh, and somebody posted a meme/GIF on Twitter. It was, somebody went back to, I think it might even be 2K16, and they edited the Undertaker's entrance where he comes out dancing like a puppet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
That's pretty creative.
I thought that was funny.
Thank you to whoever posted that.
Yeah, exactly. Taker and Shane fight. Vince pushes Shane into a chokeslam. Vince runs away like a little bitch, and then Taker's music hits to end Raw. And that's where we will end on Raw, yeah.
And just a quick little aside, since that was Monday and your next wrestling program is, I think, Tuesday, would be TNA. I just want to, we don't talk about TNA, I know, but I just want to recognize Drew Galloway winning the world title on whatever they're calling their show now, Impact? I think
Impact Wrestling.
Too bad only 47 people saw it.
Yeah.
I did go back and watch the actual video because I did DVR the show just because I wanted to see it.
Yeah.
Kind of a weak title win, though.
Yeah.
It was Matt Hardy defending against
EC3 and Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, okay, and then Ethan got beat up by somebody. I don't know, somebody with a chair.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Basically, it was EC3 and Jeff Hardy both got taken out of the match, so Matt Hardy was just like, okay, well,
it was a
peace
three-way?
out.
I thought it was a one-on-one.
It was.
I just fast-forwarded to the point where Drew Galloway comes out.
Oh, no, it was...
Money in the Bank cash-in, just like WWE.
Yeah, his Feast or Fired briefcase.
It's a terrible ripoff.
Yeah.
So then he goes to fight Matt Hardy, and Matt Hardy gets the upper hand immediately. Like, no. The heel is beating up the babyface? Yeah. What? And then he kicks him in the face and pins him. So it was quick, but not very clean, not very smooth. But hey, good for him because he's the world champion of a dying promotion, no less. But suck it, Vince McMahon. Yeah, you could have had this guy.
Yeah, Vince definitely dropped the ball on him. But yeah, it was supposed to be EC3 against Matt Hardy in like a title rematch. But the very first match on the show was Jeff Hardy's return match from him after he busted up his ankle or something.
Yeah.
And halfway through the match, Dixie Carter came out and was like, Eric, if you, say, I don't give you enough chances, here's your chance. Winner of this match goes into the main event to fight for the title. Jeff Hardy ended up winning. That way it was a three-way between Jeff Hardy, EC3, and Matt Hardy.
Oh, yeah, okay, so that's enough of that.
Yeah. And then ultimately, Feast or Fired cashes it in, wins the title. But yeah, he's definitely I always liked him in WWE. Not whenever he was in the three-man band because that was just stupid.
Psycho White ruined it for him. Taryn Terrell. I think she was known as Tiffany back in. She was the ECW general manager at one point, but they were married in real life, and she was a psycho bitch apparently who just beat the crap out of him in some hotel room. She got arrested for domestic abuse, and he didn't. And I'm sure Vince McMahon, your wife beat you up? Well, that's a black mark on you that you'll never live down.
Yeah.
Well, she's also a chicken head, and those kind of women are unpredictable.
Yeah.
You don't ever want to get involved with a psycho chick. Maybe he didn't want to hit a woman, dude. Maybe he just... Because maybe that's the manly gentleman thing to do, is not hit her back.
It's the proper thing to do, no?
Exactly. It's also the legal thing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And, I don't know, Vince McMahon probably held it against him and stuck him in three-man band because of it. Because it wasn't long after that they were involved in that domestic incident that he was not on TV much. He stopped getting pushed, and then about a year later, 3MB, everybody.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so congratulations to him. That was definitely the highlight of TNA of the past however long. I haven't been watching, just because it's terrible.
I stopped watching in January, and I only watched 2 episodes because I decided to give them a 5th chance, and they burned me again.
Yeah, I watched the first episode, and honestly, this was the first time I had watched it since.
They're not in HD, so they're not even a serious promotion anymore.
Yeah. All right, well, I guess we'll move on to NXT.
Yay.
Yeah. This opened up with a recap of last week's 2 out of 3.
Awesome video package.
Yes, it was really good. Of last week's 2 out of 3 Falls match.
And I love the reveal of Sami Zayn's opponent, how they...
the phone video.
To have a big opponent, and then the screen got all pixelated and fuzzy, and then Zayn turns around and says what Nakamura's like...
Shinsuke.
Coming for you or something.
He says Nakamura. He said Sami Zayn, I will see you in Dallas when Shinsuke Nakamura takes over. I thought
so it's official. Sami Zayn versus Swagsuke Nakamura at Takeover.
Yep.
Woo! Can't wait for that one.
That I'm gonna head. I've told you before off podcast whatever. I'm calling it now. This is gonna be match of the weekend. Potentially in the running for match of the year. I think this match is just going to be awesome.
The only way this match sucks is if one guy shows up intoxicated.
Yeah.
Even hurt. Like, legitimately hurt. Sami Zayn can still put on a great show. Yeah. Like he did against John Cena with a torn shoulder.
Oh, yeah, that was a hell of a match. And he blew his shoulder out on the intro.
One guy is high,
Yeah. Here's looking at you, Jeff Hardy.
11 seconds for Sting. Woo!
Woo! After that... They after I was so happy, they brought me down. It was the Hype Bros in an enhancement tag match.
I don't like their theme music at all, but I love the Hype Bros tag team.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I guess it's because Zack Ryder's finally getting something to do, which is good because he deserves it. But I don't like Mojo Rawley very much because he's too hyped for me, and I don't mean that as a pun. He's too excited all the time.
I like him off camera, like all the behind the scenes stuff, like where he's like meeting fans and like taking pictures and like actually having conversations with people. Like I like that Mojo, but like him on camera where he's just running around and he ain't hype.
Or on Breaking Ground where he's telling people, yeah, you eat that food.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a short match, but one of my favorite parts was whenever he's doing his whole he ain't hype back and forth between the crowd. Whenever the chanting stopped, you hear very quietly someone yell, Mojo ain't hype.
Yeah, and then at another point you hear a fan clearly yell out, you already said that. I was like, yeah, you got a point there, fan. Shut up, Mojo, and just wrestle.
Yeah, but the Hype Bros won with the Hype Rider.
But then I think is it Tom Phillips now?
Yeah, Tom Phillips and Corey Graves. Yeah.
Well, who's the other guy, the shorter, rounder guy that's the announcer? He's got glasses. He's
was
the
he
other
the one
NXT announcer?
Was he the one who was on commentary before they switched it?
Did they make the permanent switch?
Yeah.
Okay, Tom Phillips. Because, I mean, they kind of sound similar to me. I can pick Corey Graves out, but the other two guys are kind of like, they're the same person to me.
Yeah.
But at one point, Tom Phillips goes, Zack Ryder, a former U.S. champion, and I'm like, he was U.S. champion like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Does that still count? I mean, as a career achievement? Like, it was January of 2010, and John Cena was his best friend, and they were fighting over Eve Torres. I mean, come on, that's not really a thing anymore, really?
Yeah. But yeah, Hype Bros ended up winning, and then that was followed by a video package of the Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio. That was kind of cool. It showed, some of the fans meet and greet and some of the in-ring action and stuff.
That was a fast forward for me.
Yeah. And then there was a backstage segment with Emma and Dana Brooke running into Deonna Purrazzo, and that basically they were talking about their match that was just about to happen. It was
so her thing is evolution. Like, I think creationists would object to this whole character trait of hers. Evolution, what is that? Like, is that supposed to be her evolution? But then she doesn't really do anything for me.
No.
Only because they brought her to the main roster and she flopped because they didn't book her properly and she stole an iPad case.
Yeah, they teamed her with Santino Marella.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
Yeah. But yeah, it was... Yeah, and then she stole the iPad case, and then they cut her and then signed her like a day later, being like, "Hey,
but
that could have been."
Emma's new theme song is pretty cool. It's like more of a heel theme, and I kind of dig that.
Yeah, but yeah, Emma.
So there you go.
Yeah, Emma controlled most of the match, won with the Emma lock. Next match was Tommaso Ciampa. Hope they fully sign him because I really like him. Against Jesse Sorensen.
Former TNA and Paragon Pro champion Jesse Sorensen.
Yeah, exactly. Ciampa won with the armbar.
The fact that Sorensen still wrestles is amazing. He broke his neck like 4 years ago from taking a moonsault from Zema Ion, and he broke his neck.
Ooh.
And he was brought on as an agent for TNA just so he'd have a job and be taken care of because, I mean, the guy broke his neck, and just to be walking is one thing, but wrestling at a high level... That dude's pretty physically gifted if that's what he's doing now 4 years later. And hopefully Ciampa will go far in NXT. Ciampa versus Aries at the next Takeover special? What?
Yeah, exactly. That would be amazing.
Oh my God. That would be amazing.
Yeah, and then after Ciampa won with the armbar, they did a video package of what happened last month when Nia Jax and Eva Marie were beating down Carmella. And, of course, that was a lead-in to the Eva Marie and Nia Jax versus Asuka and Bayley tag team match. And by far my favorite part of the what didn't even happen during the match, when Eva Marie was walking to the ring, Tom Phillips kept trying to do commentary. And Corey Graves, like the first time Tom Phillips tried talking, he's like, Tom, how many times do I have to tell you? You shut up whenever she's walking to the ring. And then all of a sudden, a couple seconds later, you hear Tom try and talk, and Corey's like, Tom, for the last time. And it happened like 5 times, and each time I laughed.
And then he's like, am I allowed to commentate now? He goes, yeah, do your job.
He's like, yeah, come on.
But, as soon as Nia Jax figures it out, she's going to be like a beast in the women.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see her doing something further down the line. I think they brought her up a little too soon.
Yeah, possibly.
But it could also be that since she is, a bigger wrestler, obviously she's not going to do as much as Bayley or Asuka or, whoever. But, she doesn't have to. So, I don't know.
And it's creepy when Asuka licks her teeth. Like, she looked at Bayley and licked her teeth, and I'm like, oh, that's creepy. I'm scared now. I think she's going to beat me up.
Yeah. But yeah, every time Eva got hit, the crowd reacted awesome.
Oh,
they're like,
man.
Yeah!
Can we talk about the video package of Austin Aries?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I haven't seen it until this week. They showed the video package of him debuting at that house show, that end of days was wicked, dude.
Yeah.
He swung him all the way around and drove his head first, spiked him into the ground. I'm like, holy fucking A, that was a great end of days.
Yeah. And after this match, they did they supposed to be an interview, but it was basically just him cutting a promo backstage in a room. But it was a good promo. It was basically him just
2 months in, he's still Austin Aries. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
They haven't changed his name to Eric or Austin Afghan or something stupid like that.
I'm still saying sooner or later he's going to become Dallas Sagittarius.
I came up with a fun name a while back. I can't remember what it is. But
I don't remember.
It was like Alexander Abercrombie or something.
Yeah.
I was like, just as long as it's you can still say A double, cool.
Yeah.
Change it if you have to, but Austin Aries, come on, that's a cool name.
Yeah. And then the main event was American Alpha versus the Vaudevillains, and for me, I knew American Alpha was going to win, mainly because they were promoting it as the number 1 contender match for the tag titles, and I'm a big fan of spoilers, so I knew American Alpha was going to win this match in January, whenever this match was recorded.
Jason Jordan's a suplex machine, dude. And I don't mean any pun, any Kurt Angle or Chris Benoit pun there. He's a suplex machine.
And he's a good suplex machine. He can...
And then, did you see that German suplex?
Oh, yeah. The roll-through German suplex?
Aiden English?
Oh, man. Honestly, I think the only way that would have been better is whenever he was going for the German suplex, with all that momentum, just to throw him. Just to let him go.
I did tweet something from our account. It was an amateur wrestling match. Chad Gable German suplexed a guy just like that. He held him up and then spiked him on his head. It was the most wicked amateur wrestling thing I have ever seen.
That's right, because it was the What a Maneuver count. They tweeted something, and you responded to it.
I was totally like, dude, he's straight killing fools out there.
Yeah. Shout out to What a Maneuver.
I didn't think you were allowed to actually lift a guy off the mat in amateur wrestling. Like that. You can double leg takedown, obviously, but he threw him, and I'm like, is that even legal?
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, American Alpha won with their double finishing move, and
it's no finisher machine, but it's a cool finisher.
Yeah, and so they're going to go on to face the Revival, the Mechanics, Dash and Dawson, whatever you want to call them, at Takeover Dallas. And yeah, the whole purpose of this show was basically it set up 3 matches for Takeover Dallas. First, they set up Nakamura against Sami Zayn. Then they set up Asuka versus Bayley after the tag match, and then they set up American Alpha versus the Revival for the tag titles. And as of right now, the 5 matches on TakeOver have me more excited than the 10 or so matches they have at WrestleMania.
Can I ask a question about the TakeOver card?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm not dogging the card. I love the card, but why doesn't Apollo Crews have a match?
Not yet. They set one up for him. With me reading the spoilers, they set one up for him.
Hey, spoiler, we're 2 weeks out. I want to know who his match is.
Oh, you're going to hate it.
Is it somebody I like?
No, it's somebody that no one likes.
Oh, is it Elias Sampson?
Yes.
Fuck.
Yeah. Well, apparently what happens within, I want to say either next, I guess it's got to be. Yeah, it's got to be next week. Elias Sampson apparently has a match, and he just keeps beating the dude up after the match is over, like after he's already won or something. And Apollo Crews comes out to make the save, and that kind of sets it up. Yeah, and I think it's got to be next week, because the week after, I don't think
it's WrestleMania.
Yeah, they've got Takeover that Friday, so I don't think they would do 2 episodes of NXT in 1 week.
Because their takeovers are usually on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Like when it's just a standalone and not part of like SummerSlam weekend or WrestleMania weekend. So they don't. That is their NXT show for the week.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're going to have a show that week or not. It would make sense to have a show because, I mean, you got to fill the Wednesday night time slot on the network.
Yeah. Unless they're just like, oh, hey, here's a best of, or here's a Takeover special where
that
it's
would
like
be cool.
Where it's
but you got to have something to fill that time slot to kind of get you ready for Takeover.
Yeah. All right. Well, enough of NXT. Let's get to the meat of the week. Lucha Underground.
The show of the week.
The show of the week.
As per the usual.
Yeah. Started out with a video where Katrina says that she tried everything to destroy Phoenix. And
hold on a second.
Yeah, go for it.
I can't pronounce the man's name, so I'm not going to be disrespectful, but Hayabusa is his wrestling name.
Hayabusa.
They aired a Dedicated 2, which was pretty cool,
yeah.
And they're usually good about, like, in the memory of Roddy Piper or whoever's passed away in that week. That's very
Hayabusa,
respectful.
yeah.
But I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, I didn't write that down, but yeah, that's a good point to bring up. They did mention the in memory of Hayabusa. I can't remember his actual name, but his wrestling name was Hayabusa, and there's a lot of the high flyers nowadays have taken a lot of their moves, like Seth Rollins and Neville both do the Phoenix Splash, where it's like the 450, like where they're facing the crowd, and then they do like a corkscrew 450.
Yeah.
That's like one of Hayabusa's like main moves, and they kind of incorporated that from him. But that's like not just those two. There's hundreds of wrestlers who have,
Well, that video package to open the show.
Yeah.
And first, our friends at the We Watch Wrestling podcast, it was Tom Sibley and Matt McCarthy, have had a running theory for a whole year now that Dario Cueto is a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's always vanishing and reappearing during season 1.
Mm-hmm.
No, Katrina is the ghost.
Yeah.
She's got to be, because she made the comment that Phoenix's power could give her life again.
Yeah.
And somehow she alluded to a previous relationship that they had, and that, she's trying to get back at him in some way.
Yeah, and she even says that Mio will destroy Phoenix once and for all, and Phoenix will bring Katrina back from the dead.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, that's weird, but also that makes sense. They've had a blood feud for over a year now. It's like she's trying to reincarnate herself,
Yeah.
Which her running the temple now, it's like, okay, this is all starting to fall into place now.
Yeah. All right, and there was no introductory from Matt Striker and Vampiro. It just went straight into the match. It was the Disciples of Death against Ivelisse, Son of Havoc, and Angelico. And if the Disciples of Death won, then the other three had to leave the temple forever. So whenever I heard that, I was like, awesome! Disciples of Death are going to lose.
Well, I was kind of hoping that they would win just so we could get Angelico to come over to NXT, but
that would have been cool.
Not going to happen. So.
Yeah, that won't happen for a while.
But I am happy that they won the belts back because that's a pretty cool team.
Yeah, I do like that team.
As dysfunctional as it started out as the beginning, they've gelled and turned into this really awesome trios tag team.
Yeah.
Son of Havoc is really awesome.
Yeah,
his little flatliner DDT combo was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty badass. And then Angelico is like an athletic box of chocolates. You just never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love his springboard knee that he did to one of the disciples.
His knees are awesome.
Yeah, whenever he hopped into the ring, he springboarded off the middle rope. I thought that was kind of cool.
And that crucifix buckle bomb was really cool.
Yeah, and they did that triple spot where Ivelisse...
The move that crippled Sting.
Yeah. They did a triple spot where Ivelisse came off the top rope, and then Son of Havoc and Angelico both did like the dives over the top rope, and they did that at the same time. I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, Ivelisse, Son of Havoc, and Angelico ended up winning. I'm just going to say this. I know I've told you before off podcast, but... I'm not really a fan of the whole intergender matches.
Oh, I hate that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, I get, like, Ivelisse can hold her own because, like, she's a badass, but to me it just seems wrong to have a man just beating the shit out of a woman.
Taya versus cage is not believable at all.
No, not at all. And even like
Like-
the one of the first episodes of this season when Ivelisse took on Mil Muertes, like I just like that whole match. I was just like, oh no, I
Stupid,
can't
didn't
watch
like
it. Yeah, I can't watch it. I mean, I do like Ivelisse, but
Look, China, gassed to the gills, could compete with men.
yeah,
She physically looked like she could.
yeah,
But most women are just, and I'm not trying to be sexist, I'm trying to be realistic here. Most women physically cannot compete with men athletically just because of their biological and physical makeup.
Yeah.
They can't compete with them. Some can, like Ivelisse is believable.
yeah.
Matea's not. And Sexy Star, totally not believable. Like, I don't want to see her fighting guys anymore.
Yeah, and I'm like this whole Cobra Moon. Like I'm not a fan of her. Like
I
she's had,
skip all her segments.
yeah,
because
she's
I
had
don't
2
care.
matches and both of them have been bad, in my opinion. That brought up the next segment where Johnny Mundo was talking to Prince Puma, and James, I know you have something to say about this segment.
Yeah, Prince Puma's punching on his punching bag like he normally does, and Johnny Mundo comes up out of the shadows, which everybody comes out of the shadows. It's creepy as hell.
Yeah.
Starts talking to him, and he quoted, I'm going to quote him, "I'm going to take you to Slamtown." Phrasing, Johnny, that's not one thing one guy should say to another guy.
Yeah, that's true.
And Mundo vowed to eliminate Puma in Aztec Warfare, because I believe last year Puma eliminated Johnny Mundo.
Yeah, they were the final.
from the
They were the
Battle
final
Royal.
2, and Puma ended up hitting his 630 and winning.
It's like, bro, well, just, and I even tweeted a gif of Archer. Phrasing.
Yeah,
Like, come on now.
but yeah.
That's all I have to say. It was one of their average backstage pre-produced
And
promos
then-
that were pretty awesome.
Yeah, and then
They came
Puma
out of a
punched
movie.
through the punching bag. Yeah, then the next segment was Ray and who's the guy that he's training?
Dragon Azteca
Dragon
Jr.
Azteca Jr. Okay, I wrote Azteca Jr., but I couldn't remember I couldn't remember the first part of
I think it was
it.
the first Ultima Lucha, part 1 Ultima Lucha, or maybe the episode prior to Ultima Lucha. Dragon Azteca entered the temple, but he's not allowed to because Dario Cueto's family or tribe or whatever had a peace treaty with Dragon Azteca's tribe that Dragon Azteca may not enter this tribe's sacred ground, which for Dario is the temple.
Yeah.
Dragon Azteca entered the temple in order to break out. Who's the chick with Dario? I forget her name.
Who?
The,
I don't remember her name, but the Asian chick.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
Dragon
remember her name.
Azteca infiltrated the temple in order to rescue her from Dario Cueto, who he believed was being held against her will and I guess to be fed to Matanza or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dario had revealed to the chick that I didn't kill your family. Dragon Azteca killed your family. So Dragon Azteca was distracted by Dario. The chick grabs him around the neck and snapped his spine with a punch to the back of the neck. So that was kind of like he broke the treaty, but she murdered him. So that really threw shit into chaos.
Yeah.
That's why they ended up leaving the temple and getting the hell out of town. And that's why they've been in, like, I guess Oxnard or somewhere in North California, hiding out in the winery.
Yeah.
Basically trying to lay low while this whole thing blows over.
Gotcha.
So Dragon Azteca Jr. has assumed the mask. He's wearing the mask now, and he's, I guess, picking up where his father / brother / I don't know if they're related by blood, but they're definitely in the same tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And that Gift of the Gods Championship represents the 7 Aztec tribes.
Yeah.
And Rey Mysterio is one of them. Dragon Azteca Jr. is another. Dario's family is one of them. Phoenix is one of the tribes. I mean, it's all kind of wrapped around itself.
Gotcha.
But that's the thing is, Dragon Azteca Jr. will also be debuting in Aztec Warfare next week, and so will Rey Mysterio.
Yeah. Which
Which
is
is finally gonna happen.
which is awesome. 5 or 6 episodes in, finally getting
He's
to see
on
Rey
what?
Mysterio.
Knee surgery now? Sure, keep wrestling.
Yeah.
But he has slimmed down a little bit. He's taken some of the muscle mass off, so he should be able to kind of at least stay healthy.
Yeah. And then the next thing that happened was Chavo Guerrero versus Tejano in a bull rope match, and there was no real wrestling moves in this. This was just a fight.
I got a whole bunch on this match.
Yeah. The crowd popped whenever the crew walked out on Chavo.
Chavo, not classic. His father was Chavo Classic.
Yeah.
Chavo is just classically crappy and boring. And the only person I give less of a crap about than Chris Jericho is Chavo Guerrero.
Yeah, I've never been a Chavo fan. Like
I'm about to add him to the no-fly list. I mean, I'm not close to it.
Next week, we'll incorporate a shit Hall of Fame or something.
Yeah, and then he was with the crew, minus the guy who got murdered last year by Matanza.
Yeah.
They bailed on Chavo, which, I mean, and Stryker needs to stop putting over Chavo like he's something special.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. 2 weeks ago, he called Chavo formerly one of the best pound for pound in the business. That was never the case. Like, he was never pound for pound one of the best. Ever.
Yeah.
So stop. And Tejano wins, but who cares? I mean, Tejano's not. I don't mind him, but I don't really get excited for Tejano. I kind of like the feud he had with Del Rio last year because they kind of incorporated the AAA championship into their feud.
Yeah.
But other than that, I really don't care much about Tejano.
Yeah, I know we've kind of talked about it. I don't know much. Like, I didn't get to watch any of season 1. Like, I just saw what they put up on YouTube, which is like
much.
Yeah, all I saw was like the main events of each week. Like, I don't know any of the backstory of, who Matanza is and who, all these stories about the tribes and
Cueto's brother.
Yeah, and I found that out because they kind of explained it
Yeah.
earlier in this season. But yeah, I didn't get to watch any of season 1, which is going into the rumors a little bit. They said
it's actually like a demon spirit. They tried to cure him with a demon spirit, and Matanza's now like possessed by the devil or some demon now.
Okay.
Which actually kind of cool because they finally revealed Matanza, but that's later on in the show.
Gotcha.
And Mil Muertes, Mr. Triple Homicide, he murdered the Disciples of Death in the locker room.
That is true. That is true.
Murdered. I'm like you guys are nothing anymore.
Yeah. So I don't remember when this commercial, during the commercial break, at some point in the show, can't remember when, they did a Fighter of the Week segment, and it was Mil Muertes. I have to say one thing. There is no way that he is 245.
No, he's like 260 at least.
Yeah. Well, they have him listed as 245, and I'm like, I weigh 260. Like, there's no way that he weighs 245. That dude looks like a monster. And they have,
he's got to be at least 6'6".
Yeah, exactly. And granted, it could be muscle and it could just be his body frame, but yeah, there's no way that he weighs 245.
And finally, Matanza has arrived.
Yes.
Dario Cueto opened up the cage, let him out.
Holy shit, he looks scary.
This guy's a slab of beef on 2 legs. I mean, he's just
covered in blood.
He's a brick shit house covered in blood, and many people will now die horribly.
Yes.
He's going to murder a lot of people.
Yes.
And in the world of Lucha Underground, they're really going to be dead.
That's true. That's true. Conan hasn't come back yet.
Yeah, I think he's still... I don't think he can get the casket door open.
Yeah. But yeah, they announced that next week is Aztec Warfare, and that led into the main event.
Match.
The main event, Phoenix versus Mil Muertes for the championship.
This is because Phoenix, he turned in his Gift of the Gods championship to volunteer for a match for the Lucha Underground championship. Mm-hmm. But why the fuck would you volunteer for a match with Mil Muertes? It's like saying, please cut both of my arms off and beat me with them. It's like, it's not the smartest thing to do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to ask Phoenix to retire the lethal injection as long as he continues to compete in North America. I'm begging you, bro. The Ring of Honor World Champion does that move better than you. You got to stop.
And I wrote that down, too. I was like, why does Phoenix use the lethal injection as a regular move, but Jay Lethal uses it as a finishing move in Ring of Honor?
And Mil
did the RKO out of nowhere?
He speared him from the apron to the floor, and this is where I asked you about making this reference. And Vampiro made the comment, is that what it looks like when a jumbo jet hits a mountain?
Yeah.
To which I have to say, pardon me, but for what I'm about to say, I out loud at the TV said, no, that's what it looks like when a jumbo jet strikes a tall building in New York.
Alrighty.
Yeah, that was kind of like uncalled for, but I'm like, no, that's I don't know, Vampiro, he makes the best calls. I mean, he's just like, he's like, holy shit, like a million times a match. I'm like,
And what I liked about it was that, they whenever Phoenix got busted open, so Mill started biting his forehead, and that kind of led to the outside portion of the fight. And when Phoenix was trying to walk the guardrail, Mill just grabbed him and threw him into the crowd. Like there was people there.
yeah.
I thought that was awesome. And
At some point, Mil Muertes caught Phoenix diving off the top rope and turned it into like a diamond cutter for a 2 count. And I'm like, RKO out of nowhere, but like that was like telegraphed like a million miles away.
Yeah.
And
then
I have it written here that Mil Muertes is the Mexican Brock Lesnar, and he also tried to eat Phoenix's face off.
That's true.
He ripped his mask open and started biting his face, and I'm like, wait a second, this is not what's for dinner.
Yeah. But yeah, after Phoenix got thrown into the crowd, Mill started like walking away, and then Phoenix instantly got back up on the guardrail and then kind of walked and then jumped, and after he
presumably to do a Hurricane Rana of some kind.
Yeah, I don't know.
He got knocked into a stack of chairs that were sitting there in the crowd.
Yeah.
Kind of like he did the old Monty Brown pounce off the railing into the chairs.
But yeah, what I thought was cool, or what I thought was funny, after Phoenix jumped off the guardrail and hit Mill closer to the end of the match, the crowd started chanting, what was it?
Hero?
Yeah, it was Vampiro. He was just like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit!
And then right around that time, Stryker said, Phoenix is behind a prison of pain. And I'm like, oh, band name, Prison of Pain, band name.
But yeah, and then closer to the end of the match, Mil Muertes went for his flatliner finisher, and
Power bombed him on the announce table.
Oh, that's true, he did. Oh yeah, and then started punching him.
30 announce tables. It didn't even budge. It was just like, oh, that looked like that hurt a little bit.
Yeah, and then Vampiro was like, "There's blood all over me. I'm gonna get kicked out of this place."
Katrina kissed Mil Muertes, and I'm like, oh, maybe she's jinxing him because she really wants Phoenix to win.
Yeah.
And this is all one big swerve because Mil Muertes is 1,000. His name is 1,000 deaths.
Yeah.
So
and Phoenix is made of 1,000 lives.
Maybe Katrina is a victim of Mil Muertes, and she really wants Phoenix to win so they can bring her back to life. And that stone is like her soul.
Yeah.
I don't know, but the stone is really a piece of the earthquake, the building that Mil Muertes was trapped in as a kid during an earthquake. So they've already explained the rock, but I'm like, maybe there's some alternate meaning for her.
Yeah. And
I'm thinking maybe she's jinxing him. The kiss, because theirs is the kiss of death, is what she does when she licks somebody or kisses somebody. But then I'm like, no, because he double stomped Mil and ripped his mask off, and I'm like, he kind of looked like when he had his mask ripped halfway off. I didn't know he had any hair under there.
Oh, Mil?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
he's got long hair.
Poking through his top of his mask is ripped off. I'm like, he looks like Corey Taylor from Slipknot.
Yeah.
I'm like, with the blood dripping down. I'm like, wow, that's pretty creepy looking. Oh. And then at this point, both guys are bleeding. Both of their masks are ripped halfway off. Phoenix goes for a 450, gets a 2 count. It was a German suplex for a 2 count, and then I don't know. He did his little neck breaker / flatliner from the top rope. That was wickedly cool.
Yeah.
Then Phoenix reverses the flatliner and some weird pin cover and wins the belt. And I'm gonna say right now, match of the year, definitely match of the week.
Oh yeah, definitely match of the week.
It's an early contender for match of the year.
Yeah, because last week it was the triple threat, and I was like, oh, that's gonna be match of the year. And then this week I'm like, no, this is gonna be match of the year.
Which is weird because which then leads me to believe Katrina is really still on Mil's side because she then forces Phoenix. It's not going to be Aztec Warfare for #1 contender. It's going to be Aztec Warfare for the belt.
Yeah.
And Phoenix will enter #1 and Mil will enter number 20. And then I also texted you off podcast. I'm like, Lucha Underground already does the Royal Rumble better than WWE does.
Yeah.
They're now going to do the 2016 Royal Rumble better than WWE did because Phoenix will enter #1 and Triple H, Mil Muertes will enter number 20.
Yeah. And also, apparently, this was taped, the Aztec Warfare was taped in, mid to early December.
Oh,
so
yeah.
technically, the Royal Rumble will be ripping off.
They recorded Aztec Warfare in, January. So, they've already recorded everything. I'm like, but they do all of the WWE concept matches are done better by Lucha Underground. The ladder match, the casket match, the Iron Man match, everything. They just do it better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they would do a cage match better if they had room to put a cage in the temple.
That's true.
But they don't, so that's what it is.
And that was the end of Lucha Underground. So I guess
hell of a show. Cannot wait for next week.
Yeah. All right, so I guess we'll jump into Ring of Honor. This week's episode, well, for me, I got to watch it I went to the live tapings for this, so I saw this.
This is the March 12th episode, which you have a Sinclair station in Nashville, so you get to watch it live.
Yeah, and it also helped that I went to the show whenever they did the tapings
for. And I also went to Daily Motion on Sunday and found a feed of this, so I got to watch it Sunday instead of waiting until this week.
Yeah, well, this episode was a 7-team gauntlet match with the winning team becoming the number 1 contenders for the tag titles.
Such a good show.
Oh, yeah, it started with Will Ferrara and Caprice Coleman up against
I love this tag team, by the way.
Oh, yeah, for the longest time they were feuding, and that kind of...
Yeah, as singles guys, Caprice Coleman, he's been around for a long time.
Late
90s. And Will Ferrara is a relatively new guy who I think he's a small guy. He's never going to be a big man, but I think he could be definitely be a tag team champion. You know, maybe he could be a TV champion someday because I think he's a really good little talent. And I don't mean little in a bad way. I just mean he's definitely going to be a top talent someday in Ring of Honor.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And as a tag team, sweet.
Yeah. And then they were facing off against Red Dragon. I really like Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly.
I can't. They're faces, right?
Yeah.
Because Bobby Fish strikes me as an asshole, a dick, kind of arrogant. Like, I don't know what he's kind of like borderline heel at this point, which doesn't really affect the whole team one way or the other. But Bobby Fish is kind of like very vocal, very heelish, and Kyle O'Reilly is like super babyface but kind of quiet. So it's like, and they'll probably never break the team up because they're so popular. But the team dynamic is very diametrically opposed, philosophy wise. And I'm like, I love them, but I just don't understand Bobby Fish at times.
Yeah.
Strikes me as a heel, even though he's really not.
Yeah. I didn't really take too many notes, but I know that Red Dragon ended up pinning Will Ferrara and Caprice Coleman, and that brought out the third team, which was House of Truth member Joey Daddiego and
Joey Daddiego Diesel.
Yeah, Joey Big Diesel, however you want to call him.
5 names.
And some enhancement guy, who had some, like, you could tell he's been around for a little bit. He's had solid training. I may have
been something on the indies because he kind of moved around well. He kind of had a personality. I kind of thought maybe they would cheat to pin Red Dragon so they could kind of have another member of the House of Truth because, Donovan Dijak's out. I mean, I don't know if he took Prince Nana's envelope full of money, but he's clearly not with the House of Truth anymore. And they are talking verbally, cutting promos against him, so obviously they're building something between those two. But they got to have somebody to fill that void in the House of Truth.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they almost never have Jay Lethal on TV anymore.
Yeah, I've noticed that. But yeah, and then the Joey Daddiego and
Guy A.
Yeah, Guy A came out. Truth Martini cut a promo, of course, saying, if you do good, you're in. If you do bad, thumbs down. And then towards the end of that part of the match, Joey Daddiego and Truth Martini just walked out and then left him alone.
To be honest, that guy was really crap in the bed, and he kind of deserved it.
Yeah.
Like, he was dropping the ball big time against Red Dragon.
Yeah. But yeah, Red Dragon ended up winning. And that brought out the fourth team, which was the Young Bucks. And with me being in the crowd...
Screw those guys, man. Young Bucks can just suck it. I hate those guys.
Hey, now you're stealing their gimmick?
Yeah, well, you know what?
Who they stole.
Yeah.
But yeah, being in the crowd, for this show, the crowd was behind this because I want to say this is like one of the first times it's ever been Red Dragon versus Young Bucks. Like they've always been a part of like 3-way tag matches or 4-way tag matches, but I don't think they've ever really been like straight one-on-one. So this got a pretty big reaction, and then but yeah, it was decent. You know, Young Bucks had their spots, Red Dragon had their spots, but Young Bucks ended up pinning Red Dragon, I think it was.
And then the Addiction came out next, correct?
No, it was Tim Hughes and Brutal Bob Evans.
That's right.
And that was nothing. There was like 40,000 super kicks. Ended up pinning Tim Hughes and Brutal Bob Evans, and then the Addiction came out.
Worship us.
No.
Now.
And then I want to say Daniels and Kazarian got pinned, right?
Yeah.
And then it was Young Bucks against Roppongi Vice.
And then it's RPG out of nowhere.
Yeah, Roppongi Vice out of nowhere.
What? I did not expect Roppongi Vice to come out.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it either.
This is where it really picked up.
Yeah, and
it was the Young Bucks who survived because I got Rocky Romero was grinding in Nick Jackson's face. That was a bit awkward, like in the corner. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And it was definitely a colorful match with the Young Bucks ring gear and Roppongi Vice's ring gear. I'm like, did somebody have an acid trip and throw up?
Yeah.
There were colors everywhere.
But yeah, and then Roppongi Vice ended up pinning the Young Bucks, and
I believe their tag team finisher is called the Strong Zero, which I don't remember what it looks like, to be honest with you, but I remember it being really cool and being very impressed by it.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, WWE messed up by letting Trent go.
Yeah.
I love his Twitter handle, Trent ? Not making a stronger play for Rocky Romero.
Yeah.
As a singles star, they didn't ever push Trent Barreto, but I think he could be an Intercontinental or U.S. champion. I mean, definitely a tag team champion as part of Roppongi Vice.
Mm-hmm.
If WWE wanted to really pick him up, but they let him go. He went to TNA for a little while and had some very good showings in the X division, and he went to Japan, and it's no looking back. He's really making a name for himself.
Yeah.
Him and Trent Barreto, or him and Rocky Romero are really making a name for themselves.
Yeah, and then they ended up winning the gauntlet match, and they became the #1 contenders.
And next week they advertised War of the Worlds, which for all of you fine Sinclair folks at home will be able to watch that tonight.
Yay, me.
Which I can't wait to talk about War of the Worlds, because you know what that means.
New Japan.
New Japan invasion.
Yes. But yeah, so that was the end of Ring of Honor, which that was a good show, and right whenever Roppongi Vice was going for the win, that's whenever I ran toward the ramps, and that's whenever whenever Young Bucks and War Machine, they were out and taking pictures and all that stuff. So that's where I got to meet them. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, and that's also where I met Jerry Lynn, which that was the highlight of my night.
Former ECW champion.
Hell yeah. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Smackdown. I mean, the results, always come out on Tuesday night, and a lot of people read those ahead of time. But I'll just say some things that I hated, some things that I liked. We won't go into too much detail. I hated that they started with a Roman promo. Granted, he didn't really speak that much, but he shouldn't be speaking, in my opinion.
Nope.
The next segment was a backstage segment where Renee was interviewing AJ Styles, and Owens walked up, compared him to Sami Zayn. AJ compares Owens to Chris Jericho. Owens got upset that AJ said that they have a match later, and then Owens said that AJ and Renee have the same haircut as he walked off. I thought that was pretty funny. And then there was a couple matches. Miz and Ziggler, Bubba Ray versus Goldust, Kofi versus Wade Barrett. There's a lot of outside interference. And then, Kofi ended up winning with the roll-up. And then they did their show, their promotion where they, like, hey, buy the network. This is what you can get. And they're finally promoting NXT Takeover. So either they're listening to our podcast, or I don't know, because I said this last week. They need to be promoting NXT Takeover, because that's mainly what I mean. Yes, I'm gonna watch Mania, but I'm looking forward to Takeover more so than WrestleMania.
Or maybe Triple H finally snuck one in on the old man.
That's true.
I could care less about the network programming they have. I watched old Nitro. I watch old Raw. I watch NXT.
I'll put on old pay-per-views as like background.
Now I watch an old pay-per-view. Like I'm working through some of the 2002 summer pay-per-views because that's some cool stuff with Triple H and The Rock and Brock Lesnar and Undertaker. Undertaker was champion. Lesnar got the bell. All that stuff. But I could really care less about. I don't watch Edge and Christian. I don't watch Breaking Ground. I don't watch Swerved. I don't watch Jerry Spring. I don't watch any of that shit, dude.
No, there's a lot of stuff on there that I don't watch, and but like I watched the first couple episodes of Ride Along, and that's okay. Like,
I watched the first one and liked it. I haven't gotten around to the second one yet.
The second one's not. I mean, it's the second. What is it? It's Sheamus and Wade Barrett, and then Summer Rae,
Divas, right?
Summer Rae, Renee, and R-Truth.
Well, didn't they also tease the one Uso that's married to...
It's both Usos and Naomi and Tamina. Like, they're all writing together. And then they also teased Ambrose and Roman Reigns.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm interested to see that one.
Oh, yeah, what are they doing? Going to get some beers after the show? Like
probably.
Talk about? Finally getting those beers, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess we can just go straight to the main event. It was Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles, which for me is kind of a dream match.
It was a good match. I liked it.
At one point, Kevin Owens yelled, "Morrow, will you shut up? I can hear you from here." He's yelling at him from the crowd, or from the ring.
Oh, wait, that was Morrow?
Yeah.
Damn it. So this is not going to make any sense now, but I wrote down Kevin Steen may be the Intercontinental Champion, but he's the Universal Champion of owning Michael Cole.
Oh, I mean, you can still say that.
I was halfway asleep when I watched this match, so I just assumed he was yelling at Michael Cole, but don't yell at Morrow, you douchebag. Morrow's cool. We love Morrow.
I think it's more the fact that Owens
he
is
retweets
just...
us. We love him.
Yeah. What is I think Owens is just getting, he just yells at all the face guys. But
Michael Cole ain't no face, man.
No. Well, technically, I guess you could consider him a face, but no one likes him.
And that pop-up powerbomb reversed into the Pele was really cool.
Yeah. And then Owens did a move AJ did a move where he had Owens up on his back, and he like flipped him off into like a neck breaker type thing on his knee. And Morrow called it by the actual name, which is the Ushigoroshi.
Oh, and Lawler just total douche mode. What's a Ushi-Gushi?
Yeah, he's like, I don't remember what he said. I meant to write it down, but he kept trying to pronounce it.
I don't know, because it was invented in Japan.
Yeah, and I wrote down, AJ did this move, called it by his actual name. You won't see Michael Cole calling that move. He would probably just say, "Oh, what a move."
Or Vince McMahon back in the 90s. What a maneuver.
Yeah. But yeah, lots of back and forth action, and then as AJ was going for the win.
That distraction by Chris Jericho, I'm not usually not a fan of distractions, but that was legit. That pyro is fucking loud. Like,
what I thought was so funny, they showed the pyro, and the crowd reaction underneath it, you could tell all of them like shit their pants.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? We weren't expecting this.
Yeah.
But usually you get the countdown to Jericho and then the pyro, so you know it's coming. But
yeah,
it was like,
with the pyro, it's just like, holy shit, someone just got shot.
Did the pyro guy mess up again?
Yeah, who knows? But AJ ended up losing due to the distraction. Owens hit the pop-up powerbomb. And then Jericho hit a code breaker and chanted AJ Styles about 200 times to end the show.
So he did his JBL impersonation from Roadblock. You still got it. Yes. You still got it.
The only difference is that whenever he said AJ Styles about 200 times, he switched it up about every time. He was like, AJ Styles, AJ Styles, AJ. Every time he said it differently.
I honestly just fast-forwarded through this part because Jericho, fuck you, Jericho. There you go. That's what I got for that. You're on my no-fly list, son.
Yeah. All right. That takes us to the end of SmackDown, and we're going to go
So let me ask you, who is your wrestler of the week?
Okay, my wrestler of the week?
Well, first let me ask you, who is your match of the week?
Match of the week is definitely Phoenix and Mil Muertes.
I will agree with that point wholeheartedly.
And
who is your wrestler of the week?
For me, I'm going to go Phoenix.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah, and I mean, he put on, him and Mill put on the best match of the week, and he ended up winning the championship in that match. So for me, and he's one of the top good guys, so for me, he's definitely my wrestler of the week. What about you?
Go.
What about you? Who is your wrestler and match of the week?
You're not going to believe this, but I'm going to have to go with Pentagon Jr.
What?
Because he's freaking Pentagon Jr.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There's no debate. There's no debate. Pentagon can get the wrestler of the week if he wants to.
He will break your arm if you don't give it to him.
Yeah, exactly. And then your also match of the week is Phoenix and Mill.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with your match of the week, and that's you could say, well, that Dolph Ziggler Triple H match was good. Had that match not taken place on Lucha Underground, that probably would have been my match of the week, just because it was a hotly contested match. But honestly, the only match that sticks out is the Lucha Underground Championship match.
Yeah, that's really the only one. Like,
I would honestly have to go back and think. Wait, who fought who? Because that match just sticks in my head. Like, yeah, that. I'm still thinking about the three-way from the week before.
Yeah, exactly.
These Lucha Underground matches will stick with you.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, I guess we can go into some news and rumors. First
Sure,
time we'll be doing this. Just so you know, this is exciting for all you Lucha Underground fans. Season 3 is filming today.
Yay!
Yeah, Season 3 has started filming today, and they're going to be filming some tomorrow and pretty much every weekend for the next couple weeks. And the Season 3 is expected to air on the El Rey Network sometime later this year.
Now, I did read where at South by Southwest this weekend, they were having a Lucha Underground show.
Yes, they did.
Which is pretty cool because
did you see
Lucha Underground at this point is only a TV show
and
not a wrestling promotion.
Yeah,
so
not necessarily a touring brand.
Shows is one step closer to being an actual wrestling promotion.
Yeah. And had I been living in Houston, I probably would have driven to Austin to go to this show.
Shit, man, that I've never been to South by Southwest, but I have been to Austin several times.
Yeah.
That would be on top of Austin, having a Lucha Underground show, probably an insane environment to be a part of.
Have you seen some of the stuff that they've put online?
No, I haven't seen any of it.
Well, it's nothing major because like I'm part of the We Watch Wrestling group on Facebook, and some of the people actually went to it and were like posting like pictures and stuff. Aerostar had two of the biggest spots, and one of them he probably legitimately got hurt. There was one point where he did the whole, how in ECW Super Crazy would climb to like the second story and then like moonsault off?
Oh yeah.
Well, Aerostar did that, but it was like from like 15, 20 feet up, and he
did that a couple times during the first season.
He did?
On to about 7 people.
Okay. Well, he did this onto 3. I think it was a fatal 4-way match. I think it was like him, Pentagon Jr., probably Phoenix and someone else. I don't remember. But yeah, he jumped and hit the floor and just bounced off. Like they didn't catch him. He just hit and bounced and hit the floor. And apparently the padding, like there was like hardly any padding. And then later in the match, there was a table set up on the outside, and Aerostar was up on the top turnbuckle, and Pentagon Jr. pushed him to the outside. It's kind of similar to like what Dean Ambrose did to Kevin Owens at the Rumble. But Aerostar's foot, like he like dropped a little bit first and basically went like face first through the table.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So yeah, if you can look those up, definitely look them up. But yeah, I'm excited for season 3, and I definitely would have gone to that show had I lived, not 20 hours away.
The only thing I don't like about Lucha is they tape so far in advance. It's like it's not relevant anymore. Like the title now happened in December. Now, granted, it didn't air till now, but they didn't really know when they were going to start again. So they've
already got everything recorded. They've already got everything recorded all the way up to Ultima Lucha.
I'm like,
you can find the spoilers online.
I'm staying away from them because that's the only show I don't want spoiled is Ultima Lucha.
I read them whenever they first came out, and I only really remember one match. But it's kind of not a title match, but it's like a bigger match, and I know it's one that everyone's going to be excited about, so I won't I don't want to be that guy that ruins it.
Yeah.
So we'll just keep moving on. There's a lot of people asking why Bray Wyatt didn't fight with Lesnar at Roadblock, and curious as to when they would announce, or if they would announce a match for him at Mania. But it seems that Bray suffered some sort of back injury. But it seems from, I think Dave Meltzer reported that Bray may be in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal if he competes at Mania. I mean, I was reading earlier on Twitter, he competed in a house show last night, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the Battle Royal.
Now, why would you put a talent of his level, even though he's not what he used to be at one point, why would you put him in if he's not winning it?
I don't know. And honestly, like I could see, the final 5 being the 4 members of the Wyatts and, maybe Dolph Ziggler or someone like that. And then once it comes down to the 4 Wyatts, like have just him just be like, go. And then like they all eliminate, themselves and have Bray win that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see it happening. Will it make sense? I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, by him being the leader of the cult, it will make sense, but you can't put him in if he's not winning.
Yeah.
It's like having Hulk Hogan, it's like having Hulk Hogan in any kind of match against like 4 cruiserweights and him losing. It's like, no, Hulk Hogan's supposed to beat all these guys.
Yeah.
Because at this point, all the unbooked guys are like the Wyatt family, the social jobbers, and all the other low-level talent. I mean, maybe you call up a couple NXT guys, but it's like none of those people in that match, or who are theoretically in the match based off of the match listing at WrestleMania, none of those people are above Bray Wyatt.
Yeah. But they have been saying that Bray is scheduled to be positioned as a top heel after WrestleMania, with plans of him facing Lesnar and then potentially Roman Reigns, if Reigns, which we all assume, will win the belt at Mania. But yeah, so they're hopefully will push him as a top heel, and I hopefully would like to see him.
They've already pushed him as a top heel once, and they gave up on him.
Yeah. Well, they gave up on it because they made him fight John Cena, and then, of course, once you fight Cena, you're dead.
Yeah, it's a brick wall.
Yep. But yeah, I'd like to see him as, even if his title, I'd like to see him win the title, and even if his run's only for like a month or 2, like, I'd still like to see him as champion. Next one, I wrote down Neville got hurt, but he's only going to be out, 2 to 3 months, which is good. I mean, it's kind of a glimmer of hope within a bad situation, but yeah, we talked about that earlier. So a while ago, there was a list that revealed all the Hall of Fame inductees, and so far, most of it has been true. The celebrity on that list was Regis Philbin. But now there's a rumor going around that they're just going to scrap him, at least for this year, and induct Snoop Dogg into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I mean, you could...
Regis Philbin makes more sense because back in the 90s, he would have a bunch of wrestlers on his show. Hulk Hogan made a career off being on Regis' show.
Yeah.
And he had Ultimate Warrior. He had a bunch of top guys back in the late 80s, early 90s. But what has Snoop Dogg ever done?
He was the only thing I know. He hosted Raw one time, and he's the cousin of Sasha Banks.
Well, we all knew that because they made a big deal out of that during the NXT last year.
Yeah, that's all I know.
One time, well, I guess so. If Coco Beware is in the Hall of Fame for never winning a championship, I guess Snoop Dogg can be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean.
Although I did hear something. I don't know if this is on your list of news. WWE is looking at picking up some real estate at Universal Studios or somewhere in Orlando to have a physical building, possibly.
Yeah. There was a place when me and my wife went on our honeymoon. We went to it was in what they call the City Walk. It's in between Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure. It's where the world's largest Hard Rock Cafe is. It's where like Emeril Lagasse's big name restaurant is. It's where like a big NASCAR restaurant. But there's also a restaurant that was there called NBA City, and it was like this massive thing. It had like all these, NBA memorabilia, ABA, all this stuff. And at first they were like, well, we're looking into buying that and then turning that into like a restaurant / kind of like a Hard Rock or, Planet Hollywood type thing, where they have memorabilia all throughout.
Yeah.
But it turns out that that's not happening. That's turning into like some like candy shop, some like chocolate factory kind of thing. I don't know. But they are still looking into buying some sort of real estate in Orlando for there to be a standalone Hall of Fame type thing.
Which was the rumor a couple of years ago when they got in bed with Full Sail and they had the Performance Center opened up. Maybe they're finally going to have a physical Hall of Fame building.
Yeah. I'm hoping
WrestleMania is going to be in Orlando next year, right? Or is it Miami?
Yes. No, it's going to be in Orlando, and possibly the next 2 years. Orlando's trying to be the first city to ever host back-to-back Manias.
Correction. I think WrestleMania 4 and 5 were at Trump Tower.
Ooh, never mind.
So, I mean, hey, it's not really a city. I mean, Atlantic City isn't really a thing anymore, so.
Yeah.
The first relevant city to do back-to-back WrestleMania.
Yeah, exactly. All right, on to my next list. Onto my next thing on my list, I guess I should say. There's been reports that Sting is officially retiring.
Yeah, I heard he's done.
Yeah, I know there's people out there who wanted Sting to face The Undertaker, but in my opinion, that match should have happened years ago.
He's 56 years old and he has spinal stenosis. If Stone Cold Steve Austin and Edge can't wrestle anymore, they're not going to let Sting wrestle ever again.
Yeah, it's definitely time for him to hang him up. I mean, it is sad to see him go. I don't know if you know of any moments off the top of your head, that were some of your favorites, but for me, like, it was in WCW whenever he dropped from the rafters and took out pretty much the entire NWO. That was always one of my favorite moments. But yeah, I really haven't watched much of his older stuff back when he had like the flat top and he was like jumping over the top rope to the outside and he had the bright colored ring gear. But he's definitely one of the best personas to ever be in wrestling, and it is kind of sad to see him go. But I'm looking forward to his speech at the Hall of Fame.
Some of the moments that stand out for me are obviously like all of his stuff versus the NWO, where he would take liberties with dropping from the rafters. That one time where he rappelled down from the rafters, picked up DDP, and went back into the rafters holding Diamond Dallas Page.
Yeah.
That's something that sticks out to me. But like actual Sting moments where it's not just him gang attacking the NWO.
Mm-hmm.
His match against DDP on Nitro in '99 for the title.
His match against Hogan at Starrcade was a good one too.
His match against Goldberg at Slamboree '99 for who was the franchise of WCW. That was a pretty decent match, considering Goldberg was one of the participants in the match.
Yeah.
The end of 2000, I want to say 2005, people, but I think it might have been end of 2006. It was the end of 2006 where Jeff Jarrett was NWA heavyweight champion, and him and Scott Steiner were running as a crew with a bunch of the undercard guys in TNA. The lights went out. The lights came back on. There was a black steel chair with a jacket hanging over the back of it and a baseball bat leaned up against it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the announcement that Sting was coming in to fight Jeff Jarrett or take the belt off of him. That was kind of like his first shot across the bow. And, obviously he had a bunch of good moments in TNA because they had him for like eight years, it seemed like. He was there. So, yeah, I mean, there was a bunch of good moments Sting had in his career.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been around for so long. I know we kind of shit on TNA a lot, but one of my favorite parts when he was like the Psycho in TNA, when he was like the Joker Sting. I did like that Sting.
He started off with like doing really good with it, and it got weird after a while. Cause like he went really Heath Ledger-y with it, like really Psycho weird. And it wasn't even cool anymore, but I don't know. He was like the consigliere for the Main Event Mafia. Like Kurt Angle was like the Godfather role of the Main Event Mafia. It was Angle, Sting, Steiner, Nash, and Booker T. Mm-hmm. And they were fighting like AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels and Samoa Joe. It was meant to be a recreation of the NWO versus the WCW angle, but the Main Event Mafia never lost, like the NWO never lost. They never quite got the young guys over, and that wasn't the Main Event Mafia's fault. That was TNA's booking. They just never booked the front line to kind of get over on the older guys. But Kurt Angle played the Godfather role, and I think for a time he was even world champion. But Sting played like the conscience, like the consigliere, like the kind of like the advisor to Kurt Angle. because Sting was still kind of a babyface in a full heel faction.
Yeah.
I don't know how they got involved, but that was kind of cool. Sting wearing a suit and tie, no face paint, wearing the dark shades. That was kind of a break from his face paint role, and it was kind of cool, actually.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to his speech at the Hall of Fame ceremony. And here's some Ring of Honor news. The past couple days, weeks, they've been setting up this Supercard of Honor, which is going on the same weekend as WrestleMania. And on Thursday, they announced, a couple days ago, they announced that the Young Bucks will be facing the Motor City Machine Guns.
Yeah. I hate damn Young Bucks.
ACH will be fighting Adam Cole, which should be a good one. But they also announced that, I saw the video on, I think it was Thursday, that Tomohiro Ishii won't be defending the Ring of Honor television title due to previous agreements with New Japan. And normally the winner of the Top Prospect tournament gets a shot at that title. But it was announced on YouTube that Leo Rush, who won the tournament, will be getting a shot at Jay Lethal's World Heavyweight Championship because he doesn't have a program going right now.
Yeah, what's the deal with Jay Lethal? Anyway, we'll talk about that at a later date.
Yeah. And honestly, for me, part of me thinks, maybe they're setting up Leo Rush to win it, but at the same time, it's he'll probably put on a really good match, and then Jay Lethal will hit the, lethal injection and win.
And maybe they'll finally inject Adam Cole into the world title picture.
Yeah. But yeah.
Or Dalton Castle.
Oh, yeah, I'd love that.
Somebody needs to challenge Jay Lethal.
Yeah.
I mean, he does not have a program. He has not been on TV for a few weeks. It's what are you doing?
Yeah. He hasn't done anything.
I don't think he's hurt, but it's what's the role for the world champion of your promotion?
I don't know. All right, well, yeah, that does it for the news and rumors segment, and now we'll go into emails, and we got one email this week. Hey, it's a start.
Yeah.
And it is from my cousin, but I will read it. It says, I wanted to congratulate the two of you on the start of an amazing podcast. The both of you are doing an amazing job, and I enjoy listening to it as soon as I can download the episode. Had a slight idea, segment, if you will, for your podcast. Before you record the podcast for a big pay-per-view, when you guys do your predictions, log into the website, I'm assuming he means Facebook or something, or Twitter, and make predictions based off the match listing they have at the moment. You don't have to predict how someone is going to win, just the who. With Mania on the horizon, now seems like a perfect time to start, since Mania is usually a placeholder everyone remembers. Then at the end of the year, see who got the most right.
Oh,
yeah.
Hey, I like that idea.
Yeah, so I'm sure we can make it some sort of bet or something, you have to wear...
Let's go WrestleMania to WrestleMania.
Yeah, exactly. That way it's a full year.
Does.
A full year. And I'm sure we can keep track of it on the Facebook page. But as far as an old show to recommend for you guys to review, one of my favorites, and Joey's as well, which he's not lying, ECW One Night Stand 2005, the final night of ECW that actually mattered.
Yep.
Keep up the great work on the show, guys. I look forward to listening. Thank you, Johnny.
I would like to review that show.
Yes.
I've also off podcast pitched to you the 2004 Royal Rumble as a show.
Yes.
Because that was top to bottom, including the undercard matches, a fairly solid pay-per-view.
Well, yeah. So I'm definitely up for doing that. I think we should probably do it. Not our next podcast, but maybe. I mean, we could do that as one in between, like Armenia, and then the.
Yeah, I think we do those as a special issue kind of thing. Where it's it's within the universe, but it's not chronological. It's sort of like a side project type thing.
Yeah, so we'll definitely do that one. Probably after Mania. So look. Yeah,
definitely, because our next show is going to be our prediction show.
Yeah.
And we're not going to do anything else until WrestleMania has concluded.
Yeah. Our next one is all about Mania weekend, NXT.
That will come out probably. Let's see. A week from now?
A week.
Yeah, that one will come out a week from now.
Yeah, that'll be...
Basically, we'll take a hiatus WrestleMania weekend just to kind of soak in all of the content from Ring of Honor, NXT, whatnot. We'll take a week off there. We'll come back with the WrestleMania wrap-up show after.
Yeah. That works for me.
Because, there's going to be so much going on WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah, we're not going to have time.
We're not going to have time to record a podcast. Even if we do, we're going to be excluding... Because we record on Saturdays or Sunday. Saturday is going to be... Friday night's going to be NXT. Saturday's going to be... I'm sure Ring of Honor's going to have something going on.
Yeah, and the Hall of Fame. And
but
then Sunday is 7 hours of WrestleMania.
Yeah,
a whole day.
It starts at like 3 p.m., so we usually record on Sundays. We're not going to have time to record that day because WrestleMania is going to be the whole day.
Yeah, and then the following day is the best Raw of the year.
Yeah,
so.
And we'll have a lot to talk about a week after the 6 days from WrestleMania till we record. There's going to be a lot to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. Next weekend Batman vs Superman comes out, so we'll probably give our thoughts on that.
I will be in the theaters at 6:35 p.m. on Friday, March 25th, and I will be watching that movie. And I hope Batman bitch slapped Superman so hard it gives him CTE.
All right. I think there's a lot of people out there that would agree with you.
That's my official prediction for Batman vs Superman. Batman by TKO.
Yeah. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about before we end it?
I think I may have had something, but I think it slipped my mind.
Yeah, I'm sure we can always hop on Twitter or on the Facebook or something.
I'll tweet it out if I think about it.
All right. Well, that works.
What is our Twitter account, by the way?
Okay. Well, good segue, sir. Good segue. If you want to follow us on Twitter, follow us at JJ Wrestling Show. Go to our Facebook page at Joey and James Wrestling Supershow Podcast. Follow us on Instagram at JJ Wrestling Supershow. Where can they find you on social media, James?
You can find me at James Tingstrom.
All right. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can find me at SpaceJamIsMyJam. If you want to send us emails, hate mail, suggestions, show reviews, whatever you want to send us, it could honestly just be, hey, good job. Send us mail at jandjwrestlingsupershow@gmail.com, and that's JANDJ, not the symbol. We want to remind you guys, please rate, subscribe, share, tweet, favorite, like, whatever you want to do. Just share it in every way you can. We would appreciate it greatly. That's going to be it for this podcast. Be sure to be on the lookout for our next episode next weekend, where we're going to be talking all things WrestleMania, all things NXT, all things Ring of Honor. Pretty much anything that happens that weekend, we'll probably talk about it. Until next time. As we
say goodbye for the week, hit my music.
I'll see what I can do, sir. All right, y'all have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.